What's going on, everybody? How's it going? How you doing? Welcome in. Today is World Tour Day. God, it's been so long since I streamed, dude. First time in a Mogswamp stream. What's up, Champingle? Welcome, dude. Mog doesn't stream after 500 years. It has been a minute. I feel very out of practice right now. But today we're doing a world tour. We're going to do the first world tour of my world we've done in almost 4 years. The last one was August 2021, which is crazy. I'm really excited to get into it. Gab the Boy, thank you for the tier 1, man. 7 months is crazy. Kez, thank you for the tier 1. 17 months. King Bacon, 12 months of tier 1. Thank you so much. Ash Bash Mash, 10 months of tier 1. And Bubby Fox with 8 months of Prime. Dude, thank you so much, guys. Holy moly. I missed you guys. I'm sorry. Literally, okay, real quick before we get into the world tour. I love your hair. Thank you, Adro. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Appreciate it, homie. It's been a crazy, last month or so. First of all, we started blowing up with shorts, which was crazy. The shorts were going crazy. We got 100 million views in April or May. I can't remember. May? I think in May. Carts, thank you for the $2 super chat. Love your videos. Thank you for inspiring me. Dude, I'm so happy I could inspire you guys. That means a lot to me, man. Thank you so much. Mystery Man, thank you for the Prime. 5-month streak. Let's go. Anyways, Voltan, thank you for the 2. I do like water. I need to drink some water, man. Cheers. Everybody drink some water. Yeah, man, it was a crazy month is what I'm trying to say because, after we started blowing up on shorts, I had to get out the Vicenium Tower project. That was insane. Miko's not in the Miko cam right now. Where is he? I don't know where Miko is. I'm sorry. I'm not sure where Miko's at. And then I went to DreamCon right after I finished the video, so I didn't get a chance to do this world tour yet. But I've been meaning to do it for so long. I'm so excited to finally do this. Yo, it's Bits. Thank you for the 5, man. Hi, Mog. Want to say you inspired me to do my own Superflat world on Bedrock? Oh, that's so awesome. Happy Pride Month to you, too. Happy Pride Month, everybody. Adro, thank you for the $2 super chat, man. I aspire to be like you, man. Your vibes are so good. I try my best, man. I'm trying to keep the vibes good. Trying to keep the vibes really nice. Everything's set up. We're good, I think. We're good to start the world tour. Luca, thank you for the 14 ZARs. South Africa. What's your currency in South Africa? I don't know what it's called. Well, thank you so much. Mog, you chill. Thank you, man. Thank you, Luca. Please notice me. What's up, chicken dude? How's it going? Ghost Hunter, thank you for the Prime. 17 months? Oh my lord, Ghost Hunter. That's crazy. Catsmith, thank you for the tier 1 as well. Good to see you, Catsmith. We got a hype train going. I should blow the whistle. Here we go. Thank you for the hype train, guys. Appreciate it very much. Swine of a Kind, 8 months. Thank you for being a member for 8 months. That's wild. Let's see. Hey, whistle. You know it. You know we gotta hit the whistle. Dude, what's this new leaderboard thing on the YouTube thing? It's Franklin has the top of the leaderboard. Wait, this is cool. I guess based on how much you guys chat and participate in the chat, you get a leaderboard. That's so cool. That's new. That's new, man. They're adding new features every day. That's pretty cool. All right. I have random stuff in my inventory. I don't think that matters. I think we're ready. South African rands, but with a Z, because our country's weird. Fair enough. Thank you for the rands, dude. Thank you for the rands. Know what I'm saying? Queer Geologist, thank you for the 10 months of tier 1. Oh, that's amazing. No, 12 months even. 10 months in a row, 12 months total. Is that how it works? I don't know how it works. Anyways, guys. In a bit here, we're going to start recording this world tour, and I'm going to turn off my webcam because this is going to be a video. But while I'm doing the world tour, if you guys have any questions or anything you want me to show, anything you want me to see, all you have to do is speak up and let me know. Super hyped for this world tour. Nice escape from everything going on in the moment. I agree, C-Dub. Thank you for the 16-month membership, man. I appreciate it. So we're going to sleep here. And I think we're going to start the world tour where I started the last world tour, which is right out here. Pretty sure this is right where I started the last world tour. On one of these streets, at least. I feel like there's something I need to say before we get into this, but I guess we can just get into the world tour. And if I forget anything, you guys will let me know. Zoe Moon, thank you for the Prime. Thank you so much for the Prime. I appreciate it. Happy Pride, everybody. Okay. Okay, here we go. Let me go ahead. I paused the music, by the way. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of my I'm gonna get rid of my webcam as well. So it's just gonna be full screen here. Although I'll have the webcam on YouTube, but other than that, we're gonna do it like this. I think hopefully that's a good angle for you guys over on YouTube. Or would you guys on YouTube? Would you guys prefer the full screen so you can see the whole game, or do you like it like this? I feel like this is a little bigger for you guys so you can see everything going on, and you can have, or would you just want the game in the middle like this so that you can see the whole thing? What do you guys prefer? It's Bits. Thank you for the 5. Another note: the greenhouse you built is my absolute favorite. Oh, that's awesome! You're going to study plant science. That's so cool. That's so cool. Full screen. You guys want to see the full thing? So wait. I don't even know what that means anymore. So you guys want it like this? Is this better? I think this is what you guys want. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. If you guys don't like the shorts format, by the way, you can find the full horizontal stream over on twitch.tv. I'm going to be recording today, so I'm going to be no webcam over on Twitch. So yeah, we're going to be recording this cuz we're going to make a video out of this. Look at our new tower. Wait, why can't I see the top of it? Am I too far away? Oh, there it is. There's the top of it. Look at our dragon egg, guys. Look at that dragon egg. Okay. I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready to do this. Yeah, like I said, if you want to see the horizontal stream, come over to Twitch. Twitch.tv/Mogswamp. We're vertical for those of you on mobile over on YouTube. We got both formats. And yeah, I think we're ready to go. So I'm going to hit record. Here we go. Start recording. Welcome to the World Tour. We're out here in front of my tower, which is pretty much the oldest thing I ever built in my world. So I don't even know what to say. I'll probably do a whole other intro. For this. Doggy, thank you so much for the 5 gifties, man. I really appreciate it. I'll probably do a whole other intro for the world tour, but just for the people in the stream, if you're unfamiliar with my world, if you don't know me, my name is Mogswamp. This is my Superflat world. I started this world on May 7th, 2012, so it's officially 13 years old now. My world is officially a teenager. It is a Superflat survival world, so everything you see was basically placed by hand by me. The world used to be basically just 3 layers of dirt on top of bedrock and nothing more, and we've built everything you see on your screen around you over the past 13 years in this game. And it's been quite the journey. So, I want to start by showing you guys the tower here. This tower is the very first thing I built in my Superflat world, and it didn't used to look all crazy like this, because we didn't actually used to have a lot of these blocks in Superflat. A lot of these blocks, as you can tell, are new to the Nether update. So that's when we actually went through and renovated this entire tower. Before, it used to just be a big stone brick pillar, and basically nothing, a big stone brick cylinder with almost no decorations on it whatsoever. And we didn't actually used to have spruce or dark oak wood in Superflat either. So this is after the Wandering Trader was introduced, which introduced all those different wood types, and after the Nether update, which introduced the warped wood, the basalt, the blackstone, and all those blocks. So both of those updates, 1.14 and 1.16, were really, really big for Superflat. But yeah, this tower used to just be pretty much stone bricks and nothing else, if you can believe it. Thank you, Doggy, for the 5. Happy 13 years. Can't wait to see you next Wednesday. How's the moving going? Not great. I gotta really focus on moving. If you guys didn't know, by the way, this month is gonna be really, really busy for me because I am moving across the country. So yeah, things are going to be pretty crazy in the Mogswamp world. But yeah, that's just a heads up. If the videos slow down a little bit, that's why I'm moving to across the country to Seattle. Is there a world download? Once I edit this world tour and throw it up on my side channel, Mogswamp, we're going to put a free world download up in the description of that video for everybody to download. So for the first time in 4 years, we're going to do a free world download. But let's actually continue this tour by going into the tower here. We're going to drop down to the bottom level. So if we come down this hallway, there's a hole right here, and we can drop all the way down to the first floor of the tower. And we have this little fountain to break our fall. Again, this is all one of the first thing I built in my entire world. So if we actually come over to this end of the hallway, I have an old map of my world. And you can see what my world looked like basically in the first 5 to 8 years. So originally, I built this tower out in the middle of nowhere. There used to be a village here, and I slowly destroyed the village. I made a giant circle out of stone bricks, and then I dug all of the dirt down to bedrock. So if you go through this fountain here, you can see there's a basement area. And this was basically the first thing I did was I made this big cylinder of stone bricks, and I dug out all the dirt here. And this was so long ago that mobs actually used to spawn on bedrock still until they increased the world height. And what happened was they increased the world height and mobs started spawning on the bedrock of the nether roof. And so to fix that, Mojang literally just got rid of mobs spawning on bedrock. So once they did that, I actually got rid of the wooden slabs that I used to have on the bedrock here. And because of that, I actually have multiple double chests full of petrified oak slabs, which are the old oak slabs in the game. These are actually broken with a pickaxe instead of an axe. They're fireproof, so they'll never burn, even though I have fire tick off in my world, so it doesn't really matter. But they're a bit of a cool old cursed object that I have in my world, just to show sort of how old my world is. I want to show you guys real quick. Basically what it looked like when I started this world. So we're going to go over real quick to the other screen here. And I'm just going to show you the first episode of my flat world. So this was episode 1 of my flat world. You can see I literally spawned in and I ran to this village. And this is the actual village where I ended up building my tower. So over the next 2 episodes, I took down a lot of the houses in the village. I gathered a bunch of stuff from all the chests. And eventually, I was able to go to the nether. And in episode 4, you can actually see me. Let's see if we go to the nether for the very first time. And then I come back to my world. I dug a trench to keep all the slimes in it. And this is where I slowly started building up all of my base and all the things in it. So I built a cobblestone generator out of netherrack. The intro, I know, the old school intro is so good, right, Mexica? Thank you for the $5 super chat, by the way. You could see the old villagers as well, looking pretty cursed. So I basically had set up this blacksmith with a bunch of chests. And that blacksmith with all those chests in my world, I'll show you guys, was right around, if I go upstairs, that blacksmith was right in this little quadrant here, right around where I have my slime farm right now. So I would say the blacksmith building was probably right about right here. Almost this exact same spot. And that's where I had all my chests and stuff in the early days. You'll see it in a second. So let's go back to the early videos real quick. And you can see that I burned down the village in this episode, which is why it's called Fire, 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 and I clear out all the houses. So basically all that we were left with was a villager breeder and an iron golem farm there, a couple wheat farms, and then that blacksmith building that I was talking about. Yeah, so right there, that blacksmith building, again, that's right where I'm standing in my world right now. And that was one of the last buildings to go because that had all of my storage chests in it in the early days. So then in the next episode, episode 5, you can really see what I'm talking about, where I dug out the entire circle at this point. So the wheat farms are still there. The blacksmith is still there. You can see all that stuff. And And yeah, you can see the Iron Golem farm right down there. There's my little netherrack cobblestone generator. But yeah, this is basically what my base looked like in the early days. How efficient were the old farms? Not very. Volton, you'd be surprised. Thank you for the $2 super chat. You'd be surprised. Like, these old Iron Golem farms were pretty insanely broken because these were really, really early day Iron Golem farms. So Mojang really hadn't considered the possibility that Iron Golems would be used for farming at all. And so these farms absolutely pumped out iron and were very easy to make. The next generation of Iron Golem farms were actually way harder to make and way less efficient. But these very first generation of Iron Golem farms were ridiculous. But I will say the cobble generator was like basically your typical skyblock cobble generator, very inefficient. Half the cobble would burn up in the lava. But yeah, here is a great little top-down view of my base, and I believe I am facing this direction. So like, let's see. If I go back to the game real quick, I believe in that image, I'm facing this direction. I'm facing south. So I'm stood way up at the top of the cylinder. If I go into free cam, I can sort of show you guys about where my vantage point would be. I'm standing probably like somewhere up here, which of course there's a bunch of rooms in the way now, looking down at the cylinder in this direction. And so if we go back one more time to the video, you can see that I had that blacksmith I was talking about right there. Those wheat farms, which were like sort of the last things to go, my first ever nether portal, and then those little chests down there. And I think these little chests, there might even still be some left. Let's go see. And these might be like some of the oldest chests in my world. If I'm remembering correctly, right over here. Yeah, I think these right here, might not be original, but like I'm pretty sure this is, yeah, these are like some old junk chests from literally way back in the day. So this right here might be one of the oldest surviving chests in my entire Superflat world right here. And you can really tell by the sorts of things in it. It's just like really random items. And this was one of my first ever nether portals that I built. I don't know if that is the original nether portal. I don't think it is. I think I relocated it. But yeah, it ended up right here. And yeah, so just one more time, if we go back to that video, we're standing like right around here. Right around here is one of those chests. So hopefully you guys are sort of seeing how all this came together over the past 13 years. But yeah, so let's continue. There's not much else to see in this basement here other than basically just like a bunch of random farms and stuff. I do have some sort of interesting things, like if you've ever noticed when I'm standing in my base, I have speed 2, resistance, regen, haste, and jump boost. That's powered by these 4 beacons, which are actually hooked up with redstone to a little control panel. This was one of the first like ambitious redstone projects I ever tried to do in my world. It's actually not that ambitious at all, but I can turn on and off the beacons with these levers. They're basically wired up to these ridiculously old school redstone lines that go around to each beacon, and then there's a piston that'll cover up each beacon. And this one actually even has a crafting table that sort of comes out and covers up the beacon beam. They're pretty old school. I should probably redo this, but yeah, that's what we got. Yo, Marcos, I just want to say thank you for the happy poop and for the 100. Thank you so much for the gifts powered by Jules, man. I really appreciate it. All right. Sideways Square, thank you for the prime. Sarkoth77, thank you for the prime. I really appreciate all the support, guys. Okay. So, we've covered the early days and building up the tower. Basically, the next thing I did in my world was to extend the walls of the tower all the way up. So as you can see, the stone bricks end up just going all the way up to the top of the tower up there. And that was like basically the very next thing I did in my world. So if we go back to the video series, I think we're going to kind of use the video series as a guide while we're doing this tour, right? Just to see like if we're going in chronological order. So after episode 5, I basically started adding on the roof of the tower, the first like wooden floor. So you can see up there, I made a little spiral staircase to bring the grass up to the top, and then I waited for the grass to spread slowly up to the top. And we've got, I think here I get absolutely wrecked by a mob if I'm remembering. Yep. Pretty classic right there. Pretty classic old Minecraft stuff. But yeah, I started building the top level of the tower after that. Then I built, in episode 9, which is called Hillary Clinton, I pillar up on all of these sides of the tower and end up filling in this giant cylinder with the stone bricks. And you can sort of see how up at the top, I've already started spreading out a dirt square around the tower. And then for the next several episodes, I just kind of keep expanding on that until what we're basically left with is a big castle looking like this with these little, I don't know what you call these on castles. They have a term, but the little things that stick up, and then a little bit of grass around the top level of the tower, and the rest of the world we just covered with water, which was pretty fast to do. So as you can see, the inside of the tower at this point, this is back July 2012, was basically just a hollow cylinder with a few mobs kicking around, not much else here. But yeah, you can see, again, those chests that we referred to earlier hanging out over there. One of the first things we did. There's like a little miniature oak farm over here. That's pretty much it. Battlements, that's what they're called. Thank you, chat. Battlements. So if we go back in, we can just do a quick tour of the tower here. So I want to start in the center. Basically, over the next couple years, we ended up filling in this tower. So this was my original storage room here. This is my original storage hall. And basically back in the day, you couldn't put chests right next to each other. So we had to put these gaps in between our columns of chests to make sure that you could actually put the chest there. Nowadays, you could just put all the chests right in a row. So we ended up redoing the other side. But this side, we've kept original to how it used to be. So we've got the, let's see here. Sorry, I just want to make sure I see what I'm doing. So we've got all of our basic storage stuff here. These chests basically haven't changed since I originally put stuff in them, and you can kind of tell they're very old school chests. They've got like random stacks of items that don't really make sense together and stuff like that. We had these little furnace areas with crafting tables in the middle. At the time, I thought this looked really, really great. Quartz had just come out. Redstone lamps were also still very, very new in the game. So we incorporated those into the floor pattern, which I was pretty proud of. And back in the day, this storage hall was like, the peak of building in Minecraft, guys. I don't think you understand. This was, and I think to be fair, it actually kind of holds up pretty well, I think. In the center, I had built this little nature-y area, and then over time, we've gotten more and more flowers and items from Wandy Tea, like the sugarcane and the blue orchids and stuff like that, to decorate this center area with all these different plants. But back in the day, it was pretty simple, just some grass and flowers and stuff like that. We ended up building this larger furnace array, but it's literally just manual. Like, I just drag the items in here by hand, and that's how I would smelt things back in the day. But then on this side, I want to say somewhere around like 2020-ish, we ended up ripping out all of the old storage and building a big Impulse SV bulk item sorter. So I can basically run over to this chest in the corner, put any items that are part of this item sorter into there, and they automatically filter through into the proper chest. And yeah, this is, like I said, just my bulk storage. So it's really only items that I'm going to have a lot of, like endstone, or glass, stuff like that I'm going to have stacks and stacks of, but not a lot of other unique items other than that. So that's basically the storage hall, more or less. If we walk this way, this is where I used to actually have my dragon egg for the longest time. Once we got access to the end dimension, I want to say that was around 2020 as well. We ended up putting the dragon egg there for a long time, but recently we've moved it to a new location. If we go straight through this room, there's just kind of this awkward space underneath my base. But this used to be a horse ladder. I used to have a big horse ladder right here, and you could ride the horses up to the top of my base. The horse ladder broke, so I ripped it out, and there's no longer one there, but I'd love to build a new one at some point. But for now, this is one of my portals that I use a lot. And then over here is a broken iron golem farm. I don't know why it's broken, but it's got enough iron in the bulk storage that I just haven't had to make a new one for the longest time. So we built that quite a few years ago now. I think this iron golem farm's like 3 or 4 years old. But yeah, it's broken. We're going to have to build a new one at some point. That's basically all that's out this direction. From this room, you can either go left or right. If you go left, there's basically nothing here. There's never really been anything here. One of the beacon beams is here, but that's about it. There used to be a little water elevator in this corner, as you can see by this hole here, which would take you all the way up to the top level, but I ripped that out. So essentially, this quadrant of the tower is pretty much just empty. But if we go right, you see this big leafy monstrosity. This is actually a slime farm. Which, yes, believe it or not, I did build a slime farm in Superflat, even though I have all the slimes I could ever need. The slimes spawn on these platforms, and then they make their way over to the iron golems, which they're attracted to, and then eventually they fall down onto this magma. The magma kills them, and then there's a hopper minecart sweeping back and forth to collect all the slime balls. Right now, it's not doing that because the storage is probably completely full. Yep. But once in a while, I come through here, and I craft all the slime balls up into slime blocks and then clear it out. But yeah, that's basically all that's in this quadrant here. And then you can see that there are random wither skeleton, or excuse me. You can also see that there are random wither skulls floating all around my world. These are pretty cursed. It's an old glitch where projectiles would just like freeze once they reach the end of your render distance. So we've got quite a few of these cursed wither skulls floating around my world. And we've also got some fireballs. I'll show you guys the fireballs soon. But those are pretty weird. One of the weirdest, most cursed old things about my world, I would say. The only other thing left on this side of the base, for the most part, is if we go in the back here, we can climb up and go around, and there's a little bit of wheat storage from the wheat farm above, which I'll show you guys. But you can actually climb this water stream and then go up here, and there's a little observation deck. And if we climb this ladder, you'll see that we've got the channel logo on a little carpet there. Super random. I don't know why this is here, but it is. So yeah, that's something you guys might not know about my world. Everybody's asking for cat cam, but I don't know where my cat is. He's MIA. He's not here right now. So if he comes, I will put on the cat cam for sure. All right. Let's keep moving. So that is basically everything on the bottom half of this side of the base, but the other half of the base is much more dense. So let's go back into the main hallway here. And again, we can sort of go center, left, or right. If we go center, this is sort of like a transportation room. So right here, there used to be one of those little zipper piston elevators, but they were really, really temperamental back in the day. I think Mumbo Jumbo may have designed it originally, but a bunch of updates to the game kept breaking it. So then it got replaced with a slime block elevator. Once slime blocks were added to the game, there was slime block elevators, but even that was pretty temperamental. So eventually, once water streams were added to the game, I replaced it with a simple water elevator. So now we can just shoot up really quick, and this will never break, unlike all of the piston elevators and stuff. And if you walk across, there's actually a drop chute to go right down into that fountain on the other side. So you can easily get up or down in this hallway, and there's actually a few secret spots in the wall where if you're on other levels of my world, like down here, and you need to drop down real fast, you can just walk out here, and you know that you're going to end up in the water. Well, I didn't quite end up in the water there. I probably should have looked where I was going, but you can easily drop down into the water is the point. Okay. Let's see. So yeah, we've got this water room where you can get up and down super easily. If we keep going straight, we've got this control room, and this is where we were controlling those beacon beams. On the other side, I planned the original plan for the others. Let's see. The original plan for these levers on the other side was to have them control various farms around my world, but I believe they're just hooked up to nothing right now. Yeah, they just go to nothing. Maybe eventually we'll have these actually control something or other in our base, but for now they just don't do anything. Let's see. So yeah, we can go either to the left or the right here. If we go to the left, there's a bunch of farms back here. So we've got my sugarcane farm. I built this right when we got access to sugarcane from the Wandering Trader. And right next to it, above, is a cactus farm. This is where we access our cactus. This is where we access our sugarcane. And I've got some bulk storage behind here where I can just put them in some chests. But other than that, this room is pretty unfinished. We should probably finish up this little closet here. And then through here is just a little access door to some of the redstone. There's nothing really back here. But this is sort of a nicely finished part of my world. There's actually a secret entrance in this painting, I believe, on this side, which gives you access to some of the redstone for a big cobble generator. So this right here is a super old school cobble generator, I believe by JL2579. And basically how it works is I can go over to here, and there's a little room on this side, right by my storage hallway, as you can see. We can open up this door. It's got an iron door, so no mobs can get in and bother me. And I can press that lever to begin generating stone from the farm. Let's see, like that. And that's, oops, I think it's the other way. Unless it's just broken. Okay, maybe the cobble farm's just broken. That's crazy. That's nutty. Okay, the cobble farm's broken right now. That's never happened before. But basically, this would drop pickaxes in a loop, and they get sucked up and basically keep dropping in a loop so that anytime your pickaxe broke, you would just keep on mining. You'd fill up your inventory, and then anytime your pickaxe broke, you would get a brand new pickaxe and just keep mining. And so I would mine for hours and hours like this, and then all that stone gets shuffled down in a bunch of hoppers all the way over to here. And the stone ends up in this cobblestone chest. And then I have a lever right over here where I can suck out the cobble and turn it into stone automatically. So if I flick this lever, all that cobblestone ending up in those chests will automatically get sucked up and go up to my furnace array and get smelted into stone, and the stone will end up here. And then I have another lever where I can convert that stone into smooth stone. So all that stone in these chests will get sucked up by this hopper back into the furnace array and get turned into smooth stone. So it's a pretty cool setup. I can automatically make smooth stone by just sitting in that little closet and mining cobble, which is pretty neat. And I'll show you guys how the furnace array works in a second. But just to show you guys what it looks like above here, we can go up this staircase here. This just leads back to that main area again. We can go up this staircase on the right, and we have this little park area. So you can kind of see, like, there's the cactus farm, there's the top of the sugarcane farm sticking out, and then here in the back is the giant kelp farm, which powers all of the furnace arrays. So there's actually two furnace arrays. This kelp farm goes constantly, all the kelp gets shuffled down, and it goes into this array of smokers, which smelt the kelp super fast into dried kelp, and then all the dried kelp ends up in this chest. We craft it into dried kelp blocks, which goes back into here to fuel this array. And then the excess dried kelp blocks go up to the second furnace array here, and those power my main furnace array. So I can put any items I want into this little chest here, and it'll automatically feed into this furnace array, which is always powered by these kelp blocks, so I never run out of fuel. And you can see all the stuff I've been smelting ends up in these chests here. I don't know why I was smelting so much green dye, but apparently I was. So, it's all pretty janky redstone, I'm not gonna lie, but it works for me. Up here, we've got one last farm, which is my basalt farm. So, oh, this seems broken. No, it's not. I think I just hit that. There we go. There's my basalt farm. So we hold down click here, it mines super duper fast, and then all that basalt gets sucked down into the smelter if we flick this lever. Otherwise, it just goes into storage. So we can either smelt it to make smooth basalt, or it'll just go into the normal storage and become, you know, regular old basalt here. But yeah, we've also got storage for the smooth basalt and storage for the polished basalt here. So that's basically everything on this side. If we go over this way, through this weird little hallway, we end up right here, which is just where I stuck a tiny little dripstone farm for pointed dripstone. That's going all the time. And then above, there's this really awkward farm here, just kind of in the middle of nowhere for collecting chorus fruit. But I think I've used this like all of one time. I've like literally never even used this farm. Zach Sports and Gaming, thank you so much for the gifts, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. And yeah, this just connects down to here. So if we go right here, there's a path over to the smelter area. And then there's a water elevator that takes you up to this little chorus fruit section. And we can actually walk all the way back over to that little park area. And then just like I was saying, there's always like a hole to drop down back into this fountain. So, I don't know. My base is kind of wacky. It's kind of weird. A lot of it needs upgrades. There's some random stuff down here that I forgot to show you guys. Like if I press this, I'll get some ender pearls to teleport around with. If I go in here, we've got a quick little egg farm just hidden in the wall in case I ever need some eggs. So there's some random quirks all over my world. If we go back down to the basement, there's a few other things to show you. This is all my dirt storage from all the dirt I've mined. So these are all shulker boxes full of dirt, and those fill up every single chest about to here. So these are all filled with dirt. Some other cool stuff down here. We've got more bulk storage. This is all the end stone I mined for the end project, the end city project. And then over here, we've got some bulk mob drops. And then over here, we've got all of my records. For some reason, I keep them here. I really got to make like an actual record store or like a record shop or something like that. But this is what we have for now. Zach Sports and Gaming, dude, thank you for the 10x combo. That's crazy, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. And Rid Does Stuff, thank you for the tier 1. Bob Master, thank you for the 100 bits. I really appreciate all the support, guys. You guys are the best. All right, that was basically everything. Why use trap chests? Dude, that's actually such a funny question you asked. So back in the day, you couldn't put chests next to each other, but you could put chests next to you could put trap chests next to regular chests. So I had to alternate trap chest, regular chest, trap chest, regular chest, in order to get these chests to go next to each other back in the day. Nowadays, we can just put regular chests next to each other and it doesn't matter. But you can see these are all just like remnants of old Minecraft in my world, which is pretty funny. And then I think the only other thing to show you guys down here would be that if we go this way, this is a brand new automatic wheat farm I made in the newest episode of the Flat World. So there's 16 cells. Each of these cells has a villager, and they're constantly replanting the wheat for me, but they can't pick up the wheat because their inventories are full of seeds. And so the hopper minecart gets to pick it up instead. All the wheat funnels down into this chest here, and I've got shulkers full of wheat here in case I ever need them. So that's my little wheat farm. But let's go back into the tower. There's so much more to cover, guys. We're just getting started. All right. So I believe we've covered going this way to the slime farm. So the only thing to do now is to go up a level. And I think the best way to do that would be to go back to the park area. Joe Pizzle, thank you for the prime, man. I really appreciate it. Dude, Zach Sports and Gaming, thank you for the combo, man. I appreciate it. 25x combo is wild, dude. I thank you so much. All right, so from this park, we can actually go up this staircase here. And this part of my base is pretty messy. Keep that in mind. But we end up right on this ridge here. And if we go up this stairs, we're sort of on the second level of my base. So this is bulk storage. Each of these towers has 4 items: rotten flesh, bones, arrows, and gunpowder. And that's the bulk storage for the mob farm in the tower, which I'll show you guys in a little bit. To the right here, to the right on this level, we have this massive wheat farm. which if you press the buttons, all the water flushes down, and this entire farm harvests, gives you many stacks of wheat. And then all the wheat and the seeds flush down this water stream in the back here into these hoppers, and those end up getting sorted into these two chests, the seeds on the left and the wheat on the right. So that's what I was showing you guys here in the back. That little area right there is the collection for this wheat farm here. And then, like I said, these are 4 little bulk storage areas for all the mob drops coming from the mob farm above. And basically the only other thing on this level is our map of the world. At this point, our map is pretty outdated. This is back when we still had water covering the world. Since then, we've gotten rid of all this water and dug a lot of this down to bedrock like this. So this map at this point is pretty outdated, but it's still fun to see. Still really, really cool to see. This is a couple years old now at this point. And if we go this way, we come into this little staircase here, and it wraps around, and we end up on the next level. So right here, under these, under a couple sets of staircase, I have a secret little pumpkin and melon farm. So all the pumpkins and melons cycle down into this chest here. Super handy little old school pumpkin and melon farm. Never changed it since they first introduced those. Then we could go up here. And we're in this little area on the top level of my tower. So let me show you guys. If we come down here, see there's one more like little mini section. We were just down on that section with the wheat farm. Now we're up here. So once again, this quadrant of the tower is pretty much just empty. But this section here has a great big old school tree farm. So there's slabs up top to make sure the trees don't grow big. And I can just come through here and chop down all the trees and replant them. And it's a really, really old school way to collect oak or birch wood or whatever it may be. So that's just a really big old fashioned tree farm. And then here are the 4 drop chutes from the mob farm above. So remember how there was the 4 storage areas down below? 1, 2, 3, 4. Those correspond to these drop chutes. So the mobs shoot down these drop chutes, land here and die, and their drops are all sorted into these 4 bulk storage containers. Over here, we have a really interesting system. This connects up to my pig and my cow breeders up above. So if you look over here, there's these 2 little buildings. This one has cows going around in a loop, and this one has pigs going around a loop, or at least it should. I don't think I ever put the pigs in it. But how it works is, in theory, is you stand here for hours while this dispenser fills up your inventory with wheat, and you just breed these guys on a loop for hours and hours. All of the baby cows fall through this glass pane into the bottom here, and they end up in this tunnel system. And then all the baby cows and pigs get transported all the way along to the end here. And so the pigs end up in this section, and I've got 2 options. I can either divert them or immediately burn them for pork chops. Same with the cows. If I choose to divert them, they actually go over to the side here, and the cows will end up here. And here I can milk them. So I've got buckets here that I can milk them with, or I can kill them for their steak and leather with looting. And then the pigs end up in this little container here, where I can either give them a saddle and a carrot on a stick and then ride them away, or I can kill them for their pork chops. So it's a pretty weird system. And then right next to it is my little chicken farm. So this is like automatic chicken farm. It's one of my main sources of food because I'm too lazy to trade for golden carrots. But that is my passive mob farm system on this level. And then if we go in this direction, you'll see these staircases connect back up to where we just came through with this melon and pumpkin farm back here. And then on this level, we've got more of a little miniature oak farm where I can chop down trees. But then we've got potatoes. So this is a potato silo here. If I press this button, the water will wash all the potatoes down. Hoppers sit below here, and they take all the potatoes back to this storage silo in the back here. And then this lights up as each of the chests fills up with potatoes. I've got the same thing on the other side for carrots. And then if we keep going through this door, I've got beetroot here. So same thing for beetroot. And then the little storage silos on this side instead. Just like that. There's the little storage silo for the beetroot. And then if we use this little elevator to go to the other side, like I said, we've got potatoes, but then past the potatoes, we've got our netherwort. This is our netherwort farm, and yeah, works the exact same way. All the netherwort gets washed down and then fills up this silo here. But the only difference is on this side with the netherwort, we actually have this little AFK netherwort farm as well. So you sit in this cart going back and forth, planting the netherwort, and over time, you'll collect it all in your inventory. So I've got basically 2 different types of netherwort farms here up at this level. And then again, we've got this little slime block thing to push you up. Bloop. Just like that. What else is there to show? Right here is like the miscellaneous storage from the mob farms above. So let me show you guys the mob farm. I think that's a good little detour to take. So we keep talking about the mob farm, the mob farm. The mob farm is actually right above my base. So if we zoom out, you can see we've got this big tower here. But then at the very center of the tower, there's this little temple. And inside the temple, if we fly in here in free cam, is a hidden mob farm that I designed myself. So the mobs spawn in here. You can see it's really dark. Eventually, they make it down the hole. There's 2 levels, and then there's 4 modules. So there's 8 total spawning rooms that look like this. And they're each hooked up with lights. So I can actually flick the lights right here. And you'll see that if I fly back up into this mob farm, all the lights have now turned on. So mobs are now disabled, and you won't be getting any more mobs spawning in the farm after I turn the lights on. So those mobs basically all get filtered from those 4 different areas down through these water streams into this central drop chute. And then they drop down to here where they become a 1-hit kill. So I can just take my sword, I can hit them, boop. All their drops go into this general miscellaneous storage, and that's what filters down into these chests here. Or, alternatively, if I don't want XP and I just want to kill them, I can go over to the one that says XP farm, which is right here. I can turn this off, and that's going to redirect the water so that instead of the mobs coming to the center here, like these ones are, they're instead going to drop down into the 4 chutes. So now you see these mobs are getting redirected, and that's going to drop down these 4 chutes, and that's where these 4 storage things are located. So does that make sense, guys? I have basically 2 options with the farm. I can either kill the mobs for XP right here, or I can just have them automatically die from fall damage, and they go into these 4 little drop chambers here, and then their mob drops get filtered down into here. The only ones that survive are ones with leather or like feather falling, and then once in a while I just have to come down and get rid of the ones that are surviving. So, yep, that's how that works. Zach Sports and Gaming, dude, thank you. Thank you so much for the combo, man. Dude, he's going for a new record. 30 combo, 32 times combo. Dude, he's going. How high is he going to go? 40x combo? Dude, he's still going. That's crazy. Is he going to hit 50? He hit 50. He's still going. Zach Sports Gaming. Oh my goodness. What a combo, dude. He's up to 69. Nice. He's up to 75. Dude, he's just tapping his screen. Is he going for 100? Wait, I have to see this. I'm so hyped up right now. Oh my god, if he hits 100, I'm hitting the whistle. He did it! He hit 100! Let's go. Let's go, Zach. Okay. So let's go back down here. I've showed you guys all these farms on this side, and I've showed you guys all the farms on this side, but there's still a few secrets over here. There's little storage closets to be found. There's also on this side, I've got a big axolotl tank, so I keep all of my axolotls in here. I don't have the blue one yet, but I've got every other color of axolotl, which is pretty cool. And axolotls are actually now no longer obtainable in Superflat, so we can't let those guys die. And then I believe that's basically all there is to see on this level of the world. The only other thing I want to show you guys is this little room right here. Mog's room. Do not enter. No girls allowed. So this is my bedroom. I decided years ago that I actually needed a... I decided years ago that I actually needed to have a room in my world, like with a bed, like a bedroom. And so I hid it in like a little tiny nook in the wall. So if we go up here, you'll see that we've got a little place to hang my jacket, little painting, little garden over here. We've got a little sink and kitchen area. We've got a little bedroom, my TV. And I can't even remember what this was for. I don't even remember. But yeah, that's my bedroom. And I believe there's like even, yeah, there's even this random like catwalk that I was working on here, but it doesn't lead to anything. It's just super random right now. So yeah, my world has some really weird old projects that I just never came back to. But that's what happens when you have a 13-year-old world like this. Okay. So I think that was basically everything on this level. Maybe the only other thing to note is that you can actually walk straight out here to see underneath. And there's a bunch of random stuff under here, which I need to clean up eventually. If we fly around underneath my base, there's a few other random things, like this strider with lava. I was trying to get an achievement, I think, for that. There's this, which was, that's the bottom of my library. That's the bottom of my spider cathedral over there. And then over here, this is the bottom of Withering Heights. This is where I keep my dripstone, my massive dripstone farm. So just random stuff under here. I want to build a cave system eventually, which is what this is. I was working on building some sort of cave system, but that was a really long time ago, and we haven't come back to that project since, so we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, that was pretty much everything in the tower, guys. I think I covered just about everything. A lot of the tower has not changed much since the last World Tour 4 years ago, to be honest. Most of it is the same. So now we're on the top level of the tower. There are a few other switches up here that I could show you guys. So we saw the lights in the XP farm, but there's also a village breeder. So up on this level here, I've got in the corner here a little villager breeder set up, and I can turn it on and off with this piston here. So I can hit that switch right from down here just for convenience. And then over here, we've got the mob sorter switch. This is pretty cool. This will actually start redirecting the mobs over to a sorting system. So it brings them back into the middle, but instead it sweeps them off this way. They go through this crazy system here. So the first thing that happens is there's water to separate out the skeletons and the zombies. So those guys sink. And all that makes it through are the witches and the creepers. And then the creepers get scared by the cat and end up in this little column. Whereas the witches don't care and they get pushed off into this little column. And then the skeletons and the zombies make their way over to here. And they drop down. And the zombies walk towards these villagers and fall into this area here. Whereas the skeletons don't care about the villagers and they get pushed into this section here. So it's a fully functional mob sorter. It's not perfect, but it does work surprisingly well. We're going to see the first couple creepers come in here. And in theory, they should end up in that column right there. Of course, he walked towards the cat. See, it's not perfect. But yeah, most of them should end up in that column. Yeah, of course he walked towards the cat. That doesn't even make sense. So yeah, that's basically how this mob sorter works. Are there more mobs coming through? Yeah, I think there are more mobs making their way through now. I don't think... Oh, I have to turn the XP farm on, I believe, for this to work properly. So I have to go over here, and then XP farm needs to be on. There we go. There we go. So now the mobs should redirect, in theory. Yep, there we go. Now all the mobs will make it their way to the center here. So let's just observe for a moment. Okay, so here comes a creeper and a skeleton. The skeleton is going to sink. The creeper keeps going over the top. See? And then the creeper gets scared of the cat, walks off into that. The skeleton goes up this. He's going to end up in this little column because he doesn't care about the villagers. So once he ends up here, he's just going to stand there until he gets pushed. So this guy gets pushed over to there, whereas the zombie should hopefully, walk towards the villager, and he falls into here. So it actually works pretty dang well. It's actually pretty dang consistent. You can see that we've only got gunpowder on this side, so all the creepers are making their way into that. And then, yeah, the witch just goes into here. But yeah, pretty cool. Like, it's not hooked up to anything because I've never used it for anything. But, like, if I wanted to make a farm for records where, like, the skeletons shoot the creepers to make records, I could hook up these little tubes to a record farm and make a setup for that. But yeah, like I said, it's not perfect. We do get one or two like zombies in the wrong slot, but for the most part, it works out. It's pretty impressive. And then on the end here, I think I just had a system to convert the zombies into drowned back in the day. But cool. All right, so we're gonna turn the mob sorter back off, just so that doesn't get full of mobs in there. And we'll turn the XP farm on. Yep, there they come. And let's just kill those mobs because they're not one hit. Mouse Jumper, thank you for the prime. Appreciate it. Okay, so we are on the top level of my world now. And there are a few different directions to go. And I've actually got little markers using these item frames. So there's string to represent the string farm, which is our spider cathedral. There's water to represent Salacia, which is our big underwater base. And then there's gunpowder to represent our mob farm over there. And there used to be a gold. I don't know where the fourth one, maybe it got blown off by a creeper. But usually there's like a little gold here to represent Withering Heights, which is our sort of mines. But there's also 4 little rooms on each side of this. So this one used to be my nether room back in the day. I had like a whole nether portal here. I ripped all that out and I've never done anything with it since. So this room's been empty for years now. Here is my old library where I used to keep all my enchantments, and I still keep a bunch of enchantments in here, but I do have a new library in my world. But yeah, super basic library. I used to, back in the day, do a little story in my world where every episode of the Flat World, we would add to the story. So you can see all the different episodes here. I could pop one open, and these were different comments that different viewers would leave. So this one was from the Candy Crafters. This one was from Trevor Siwajek. And yeah, viewers used to be able to contribute to the story. That was a pretty fun thing we used to do. And then we also had this little art gallery with viewers' names. So viewers would help us name these paintings. So this was Fufu Cuddly Poops. This was Jurgzim. And this was Jared Charles. So shout out those viewers. Over here, this is probably my most used room in the tower, in the top of the tower here. This is where I have my villager trading hall. So that villager breeder I had upstairs, all those villagers come into here, as you can see. And then I can use this little room here to give them a job. So I've got a bunch of different work tables here. And then based on what I do, I can either send them into this villager hall system here or send them elsewhere with a flick of a lever. And then we've just got some storage here. I never actually built a proper potion room, so I just have some potion ingredients over here. And that's pretty much it for this room. If the villagers' carts go over the top here and then get recycled back into the system. And then out the back, I've got this little rail here where I can send the villagers all over my world on different rails. So that's how I got the villagers over to here, for example. So it's pretty helpful little room that I use quite a lot. And then I can always just come out through this way. So that's that room. I also, in this room, I have a lot of valuable materials. Like, before I updated to 1.20, I made sure to get a netherite helmet, chest plate, pants, boots, hoe, pickaxe, sword, axe, and even shovels. I got a full shulker of each one. so that I'll never run out, hopefully. And then we've got some extra elytras back here and stuff. So a lot of my valuable stuff is in this room. And then I believe, so we saw the library, we saw this, we saw the empty room. There's actually 2 empty rooms. So this one is empty. This is where I used to have some elevators coming up here. As you can see, that's where the elevator used to come up from the bottom of my world all the way up to here. But now it's just empty. But this room does have a cool little slime block launcher that launches you up to this redstone layer of my world. And this whole layer of my world, like I said, is basically just pure redstone for the mob sorter, the mob farm, the villager breeder. Basically just redstone and nothing else. I do have a way to get up here. I've got a little I've got a little water elevator here that I can use to get up to the very, very tippy top of my tower. This used to be open, but now it's all covered up. So it doesn't really lead anywhere anymore. It's just kind of like this little basement area. In fact, I don't even really know how to get out of here, so I'm just going to mine my way through. So that brings me to the top of the tower. For the longest time, the top of the tower was just blank. There was nothing up here. But a few years ago, I decided to build this big temple at the top, and I put a giant spider on top. We'll get into the lore of that later. We have these beautiful gardens up here with a bunch of different flower types, as you can see. And then we've got this big... And then we've got this big banner. So this is actually the flag of Fenhaven, which is what we call this area in my world. Everything you see here basically is part of Fenhaven. Everything you guys are seeing here is all part of Fenhaven. So that's the Fenhaven flag. And we've got... And that giant flag is actually just a blown up version of this banner that I designed. So this is, let's see here. So I've actually turned off gamma overlay so you guys can see how it actually looks in game with the brightness up. And we've got this twilight roof in here. So it's swirling glass with end rods to create sort of a nighttime sky effect. And it's supposed to be, the lore is basically that it's an enchanted ceiling. And then if we go up these really dark staircases, we've got candles all in here. We make it to the center room here, which has the obelisk. And so I think the lore in my world is basically that this is a giant magical obelisk gifted to the people by the spider god. And that's why all the people in this world sort of worship spiders. Insert menacing obelisk. I know, right, Voltan? Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. So like I said, guys, we'll get into the lore of the spider in a little bit, but I just want to fly up to the top of the temple real quick. We have the eternal flame up here in this cool little basin hanging from the ceiling. We have this eternal soul flame up here in this cool little basin hanging from the ceiling. It's kind of just decoration and more lore. And then in the spider itself, there's actually room to put something. We never have put anything in there, but it is hollow. I've always wanted to like hide something inside of the spider here. All right, guys. That is basically everything with this tower, to be honest. There's not much more to see with the tower. So from here, I want to branch out to the other different structures in the world. And I think a good one to start with is probably the Spurch. So this is our spider cathedral out here. And the lore of this is basically just that I needed to build a spider farm because everybody back in the day would get their string from cave spider spawners. We didn't have cave spider spawners in Superflat until mine shafts were added into Superflat in like 1.18. So I always had to basically, so I basically had to invent my very own farm for getting spiders, and that's what you see up here. If I fly up here with free cam, you can see all the spawning platforms in here. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 different spawning rooms. And then the spiders make their way down into these holes here, and they're going to drop down there. Sometimes it takes a little, sometimes it like needs a little jostle for it to actually fall down. But eventually they make it down into these little holes here, which have hoppers underneath, and those collect all the string. So originally this was just kind of a floating farm. I actually want to show you guys real quick. Let's go over to the YouTube, thing. And let's try to find the spider farm real quick. I think I found it, guys. So let me pull up an old episode. This is episode 66 of the Flat World. And at some point you get to see my world pretty well here. So this is a great view of what my world looked like back in the day. Everything was covered with water.
Went out 180 blocks to make sure this.
And I had my tower in the middle, and then I had these really big buildings surrounding it. And then it was basically just a big square of dirt. So what we ended up doing over time was we ended up getting rid of these giant, like quarter circle buildings. And we only saved one of them, so I can show you guys that. And we trimmed off this square to instead be a circle instead of a square. So that's how I'm going to show you guys kind of what I mean right now, just so you can see. So yeah, if we look at the map, basically this whole top platform used to be a square instead of a circle. And then see this right here? This is the only remaining remnant of the buildings that used to surround all 4 sides. So there used to be these walls like this with these little bridges, and then there were these semicircle buildings that went all around. But they really blocked the view of our world, and so I ended up getting rid of them. Raccoon the Coconut, thank you for the prime, dude. I really, really appreciate it. Guys, Miko's not here. I don't know where he is. I have no idea where Miko is right now. All right, let's see. Yeah, so what was I doing? I was showing you guys. Yeah, so if we go back to this episode, I want to show you guys where the spider farm was and what it looked like. So this was what it looked like walking to the spider farm back in the day. You can see that there was literally just like a floating box out there, and that was basically it. So that right there, that floating box shape, if we go back into the game, you're going to see where that is. That floating box shape is this box here, which I ended up disguising to sort of look like a spider here. But you can sort of see it's the same shape. You can even see the oak and the stone bricks still, which I probably should cover up. But yeah, so that was literally just a floating farm. And you could see, like, I was looking at it from like around here. And we basically decided to build this entire cathedral to cover up that floating farm. And the reason we chose a cathedral was literally just because I had never built one and I wanted to try building a church. And I thought it would be really, really fun to do a spider-themed church. So we came up with this cross shape here. This is like the spider's church symbol. So it's kind of like 4 crosses together, kind of like to look like a spider a little bit. So you'll see that symbol all over the church. It's like their version of a religious symbol. You know, you got the Star of David, the Christians have the cross. This is the spider church symbol, okay? And So that's right on the center there, and then you can see the entrance is meant to look like a spider's eyes and fangs coming down there. So the whole church is sort of spider themed, and then in the very back, past the spider farm there, in the very back, we've got the pipe organ, which is a super, super cool feature. I've got this lectern here where I can stand and give my spider sermons, so to speak. And one of my favorite features of this pipe organ is that it actually plays, let me show you guys. Pretty cool, right? So, yep, that's the pipe organ. And then if we go to the back, past the choir seats, this is where the choir would sit. There's the spiders dropping down. We actually can get to the storage room. So we can drop down here, and there's a basement in this little spurch, and this is where all the string gets filtered down. We got all our string here. I believe all the bones and arrows, believe it or not, guys, are all from spider jockeys. That's how many spider jockeys we've gotten in this thing over time. Isn't that kind of crazy? So yeah, that's where I get my string from in the world. And there's actually a little spider painting here. This is actually a secret way out. So if I'm ever under my base and I want to go to the spider church real quick, I can kind of just fly right through that hole. And it's like a little secret shortcut right into the base for me. So I still need to make a way to get up to the top of the church because I haven't built that yet. But right now, if you use your elytra, you can get through these little windows here. And then up here, I've actually got all of my priest villagers. I've got a project going in my world where I'd like to build a unique building for every single type of villager. So all of my priests obviously go in the cathedral. It only makes sense. And then you've got this nice view down to the rest of the church here. So eventually got to make a staircase up here. Got to finish this up somehow. Get rid of all this ugly dirt scaffolding over here that I was using to transport the villagers. But that's a later thing. We'll finish that eventually. So yeah, that was the spider church. And basically, ever since we built the spider church, we've had the lore that the people in our world worship spiders. And that is where the idea to put the giant spider on top of the base came from. So it all just started because we needed to cover up our ugly floating spider farm with something. And then it turned into a whole big lore for our world, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, that's one last look at the spider there. Looking pretty cool with the church in the background. Recently, we actually built this little staircase here because I've been trying to connect up all the different parts of my world together. This is based on a little staircase I saw in San Antonio. So yeah, can go down this little spiral staircase and get to the next layer of my world here. Pretty cool. All right, so let's go back to the center again. We chose one of the 4 cardinal directions to go to, which was the spider farm, but let's choose another one. So let's look in this direction, I think. This over here is going to be Withering Heights. So, Withering Heights was another giant old project I did in my world. And basically, what I did was way back in the day, I poured lava and water from the sky over and over and over again until it formed a giant cobblestone mountain. So if we fly inside of here, you can see it's all made of cobblestone. I've been mining it out from the inside out, trying to hollow it out over time. But yeah, this was all a giant lava cast like you might see on 2B2T or something like that. And what I ended up doing was covering the mountain with dirt and then planting a bunch of saplings on it. I've since chopped down all the trees, so there's no saplings anymore because I'm doing custom trees in my world instead. But I eventually blended in these custom terraform mountains with the lava cast mountains, so you can't really tell where one begins and the next one, or where one ends and the next one begins. But if we come under here, you can easily tell that's where the cobblestone mountain is right there, and then everything in this direction is all custom terraforming that I did by hand. So if we go to this side of the mountain, similar story. You can see that right around right here is where the custom mountain terraforming starts, and all of this is the actual lava cast in there. So you can see I've slowly been hollowing it all out. I've got the bottom all cleared out here, which took forever. And then if we fly up the center, I've got all of this cleared out so far. So we're getting there slowly. But the reason it's called Withering Heights is because back in the day, before this was hollow, there was just a giant tunnel into the center of the mountain, and that's where I would have my wither fights because I didn't want the wither to escape and ruin all my builds over here. So I would put him deep inside this mountain so that just in case I died and I couldn't kill him, he would just be stuck in this giant mountain and he wouldn't do any damage. So back in the day, that's where I fought all my withers, and because of that, I believe there's 1 or 2 wither skulls floating around here. Like if we go this direction, pretty sure there's a couple over here. Let me see. Right over here, there's 2 of them. There's 2 down there. There's another one right there. There's another one right there. So all of those wither skulls were shot out by the wither, and they escaped the mountain and got frozen in time, and now they're just there forever. So that's what we got. I want to show you guys what it actually looked like for me to make the lava cast mountain. So I'm going to try to find some footage of that for you real quick. Let's see. I think I know what episode it is. Yes, aha! I found it. Okay, guys, so episode 26 of the Flat World series, you can see I show off me making this mountain here. So you can see back in the day what this all looked like around my base. Like I said, the center tower back in the day was all just stone bricks. Liz Legend, thank you for becoming a VIP. And then there were these big 4 buildings going all the way around. You can see the old textures in the game as well. And then walking out towards Withering Heights, I basically had built a ladder going all the way up to the world height. And that's where I was just pouring down water and lava over and over again to get this giant lava cast mountain. So that's what it looked like back in the day. And then if we fast forward quite a bit, we have an episode 61, Blossoming Heights. And this is around the time when I worked on covering the entire... Oh my God, I'm dying. There we go. This is around the time when I worked on covering the entire mountain with dirt, and you can see me doing it completely by hand. I just literally went through, covered the entire mountain with dirt so that you couldn't see any of the cobblestone. It took an insane amount of time. I can't believe I did this, to be honest. And then I went through and planted a bunch of trees. And what you're left with is basically a giant mountain. I wonder if I show it at all at the end of the episode. Yeah, here we go. So that's basically what it used to look like back in the day. There was a bridge coming over from this very square part of my world here, and then coming over to this cobblestone mountain that I had covered in dirt and grass, and then covered in trees. So it's pretty basic, but yeah, and you can see my base in the background there. That's how it used to look, just literally a floating bridge coming over to the mountain. And it took me forever to do the backside. And there's actually, you can see it right there. There's a fun little Easter egg in the backside of the mountain. So why don't I show you guys that right now? So the Easter egg, this is, again, one of the oldest builds in my world. It's called Noah's Ark. So if we go, let's see. If we go to the other side of the mountain, oh no, I'm out of rockets here. There's, bam, a little replica of Noah's Ark. And the reason I built Noah's Ark, I'm not a particularly religious guy or anything. But when they first introduced horses into the game, I believe it was like 1.6 or something, I could not get horses because I had so many passive mobs in my spawn chunks that no new passive mobs were spawning. So what I had to do was kill all of the passive mobs in my spawn chunks until there were only 2 of each. And then I had to take them far enough away from my spawn to where horses would spawn. So what I did was I mined a tunnel all the way through Withering Heights, because back then I didn't have Elytra or anything like that. And I brought 2 of each mob all the way through the tunnel, all the way over to this ark, and then I hid them inside. Oh no, the chicken escaped immediately. Oh no. But yeah, that was what I did to get all of the mobs over here. Oh my God. And so I don't think I have 2 of each anymore. Well, I did have 2 of the chickens until now. But yeah, that was originally how I got horses in my world, was by bringing all the mobs over to here until I got horses to spawn. So I think eventually we're probably going to cover right over the top of this with some terraforming, but we're never going to touch this. That'll be an original feature of our world. All right, let's go to sleep. All right, guys. So, going back to the middle of the base again, we got to pick another direction to go. So we saw the Spurch over there. We saw Withering Heights. So now, I want to take you guys in this direction. This is my mob hotel. So out here is one of the coolest features of my entire world, the Wall of Fire. If we get close enough, it should spawn in. There it is. Remember how I have those wither skulls floating around my world? I also have a giant wall of fireballs frozen in time. And here they all are. And it's right in front of my mob hotel. And I'm going to tell you guys why I have these I'm going to tell you guys why I have these fireballs right now. So, it all goes back to an old celebration I did when I hit 1,000 subscribers on my channel way, way back in the day. Let's see here. I think it was around episode 50. Yep. So we hit 1,000 subscribers in the world, and I wanted to celebrate. And there were fireworks in the game at the time, but I couldn't make fireworks because I didn't have access to sugarcane. I couldn't make any paper at the time until Wanda ET was introduced. So instead, what I thought I'd do instead of fireworks, I could craft fireballs. So I set up a bunch of dispensers with fireballs, and I had detector rails right there, and I put a chest down, and it went back and forth, activating all of the dispensers so that all these fireballs would shoot out at this wool 1,000 that I wrote, and then the wool would burn, and it would reveal behind it, it said thanks. So I turned it off there, and I thought nothing of this. But what ended up happening was those fireballs kept going to the edge of the render distance, and they hit the edge of my render distance, and they all froze in time there forever. And so that is why we have the giant wall of fireballs in my world. So eventually, I wanted to build a new mob farm, and that will be right around here. Episode 69. And that's when I bridged way, way out in that direction because it was one of the last directions I could go in my world that wasn't already filled. And I bridged all the way out here and built this giant mob farm. And at the time, the fireballs would only blink, but now they're actually permanent and you can see them all the time. So they must have changed the way they render. But so this is the way the mob farm looked when I first built it. You can see it's an absolutely insane mob farm. I've got my old skin on, but the mobs just pour out of this thing. Let me see if there's any daytime footage here for you guys. Yep, so this is, I think I'm talking about the fireballs right now. But this is basically what it looks like. A bunch of pistons push the mobs off. They all fall down. And so that is the same exact mob farm I have today. It still works to this day. Only I've covered it up with a giant hotel now. So you can see, this is the hotel. If we fly in here with free cam, you can see that the mob farm is still here. Here's all the mobs getting pushed out. And they fall into 3 sections. There's one section in the front here. And then there's one section that you can see in the middle of the base. And then there's one section in here where the rest fall. All of their drops, basically when they're falling, they activate these tripwires here, which causes these trapdoors to flip up and kill them. But then their items drop through when the trapdoor is no longer flipped. All the items shuffle down this water into this water stream at the end here. Any mobs that somehow survive get killed by the lava. And then all those drops get swept down this ice stream into this elevator and into this massive bulk storage array. So I've got a giant storage system for all the mob drops here. And you can see this thing is insanely efficient. The drops are just pouring in. Oh, you guys can't see? I'm so sorry. Thank you, chat. All right, let me just run that all back. Let me run that all back. Okay. I'm yapping away and you guys can't even see. Okay, so there's 3 sections of the farm here. If we fly in here with free cam, you'll see each section. So there's one section here. And you can see if we fly in here with free cam, all the mobs are still just pouring down just like they used to. So they spawn on these little tripwires and then immediately get pushed off. And they end up in one of 3 sections. Either this front section here, this middle section, which you can see from the outside, which is kind of a cool effect, or this section on the end here. And then what happens is as they fall, they activate this tripwire here. The trapdoors flip up, and then their drops get dropped into this water stream. And then any mobs that happen to survive the fall will just get killed by this lava here. So then all the drops go all the way down these ice streams, and they go up this elevator, and they end up in this bulk storage array here. And you can see that this farm is insanely efficient. Like the mob drops are just pouring in. So we never run out of gunpowder, bones, anything like that. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So that's the mob hotel, but I've also got some other cool farms hidden in this thing, which is why we built this whole side section here. So you can see there's a train station here, and the train is actually the train from Spirited Away. Fun fact, one of my favorite movies. And that train goes all the way along into this section here. So let me take you guys right through there. We can actually fly right into this scary black area like that. And we end up, boom, right in this behind the scenes area inside the tunnel, inside the hotel. And we've got a bunch of different farms that rely on bone meal in here, because I can just run over here to my bone meal chest and grab all the bone meal I could ever... I could just run over here to my bone meal chest and grab all the bone meal I could ever need. And so we've got micro farms for wheat. We've got a little flour farm in here. We've got a nether farm for different nether objects. We've got a drip leaf farm, a rooted dirt farm, and I think this one might be for ferns. Yeah, this is our fern farm. Cool. Oh, yes. And last but not least, down here, we've got a sea pickle farm right there. Or I think this is my sea pickle farm. And then you can see my bulk storage down here for all that stuff. Like I said, all the gunpowder gets filtered down into here, and we have an absolute crazy amount of it. In fact, we're just throwing out arrows and rotten flesh because we have so much of it. We don't even need it anymore. All right, that's pretty much it for the mob hotel, but I might as well just show you guys a little bit of the train station here. This thing has a full interior. It's actually really nice. We've got some little train benches here, maybe where the train schedule would be up there. We've got some like telegraph booths where you could go make a phone call real quick. And then obviously in the back, the spot where you buy your tickets, which is pretty cool. And then you have this nice staircase, so you can make it back up to the top layer of the world. Will there be more interior for the mob hotel? I am planning on doing interiors for the mob hotel, yes. I'm planning on doing a bunch of interiors, because a lot of these houses here are missing interiors as well. So there's going to be probably like an episode where I just do like 100 interiors. Excuse me. Okay. So, before we move on from the mob hotel, there is one last thing I need to show you guys. If you fly past the mob hotel, and keep going in this direction, there's actually some stuff out here. So first you're gonna run into my wandering trader farm. This is a sliced lime farm. Basically, wandering traders spawn. They're attracted to the bell in the center here. They can't see the trapdoors as solid blocks. They see the trapdoors as solid blocks, so they walk right off, and then they go into the nether. And then once they're unloaded in the nether, another wandering trader can spawn in the overworld, so you can collect a bunch of them. But if we keep going, you can see in the distance, this is the Garden of Pharos. So Pharos is Pharos meaning iron, basically, like. Yeah, so if we come over here, you can see it is the Garden of Pharos, spelled like that because it refers to the iron. This used to be my iron golem farm back in the day. So we used to have these crazy iron golem farms that looked like this. There would be water in the middle and then 4 little sections with 4 villagers each, and the iron golems would spawn in the center here and then drop down. And the hard part about this back in the day was just getting the villagers back in. The hard part about building these back in the day was just getting the villagers into place. So obviously this iron golem farm hasn't worked for years now, but I think we still have some iron here, I'm pretty sure. Maybe not. I think we finally emptied it out. Okay. Let's see what else there is to show over here. One of the only other things over here in the Garden of Pharos is this sheep farm, which still works to this day. Looks like a couple sheep got out. But basically, the sheep just go round and around in a circle over and over again, and there's a little dispenser up here shearing them constantly. So that's a really, really good wool farm. Like I said, I still use it to this day. But other than that, there's really not much over here. If we go into the garden, there's these 2 staircases, one on the left and one on the right. The one on the left goes to the donation cave. So I was trying to terraform a realistic cave back in the day. So we've got T-Pone2424, the first ever donation I ever got back in 2012. We got two words for you. Some other familiar faces in this donation cave. And then at the end here, I tried to build like a little fake dungeon room. Back in the day, we didn't even have mossy cobble on Superflat, and this is where I put my patrons at the time. And then I think there's a way out right here. Yeah, there's a little ladder here, which takes us back to the top. And the whole goal with this area was basically to try to make it look like it was actually vanilla Minecraft instead of Superflat. And then if we go down this other staircase here, I have my first 150 subscribers in the world. So literally the first 150 people who sub to me, every single one of their names is written down here, which is pretty crazy. And then I think there's one last thing to look at. If we go back into this donation cave and go around the corner to the right here, I built like this fake abandoned mine shaft. Yeah, here we go. So this was eventually going to be like a fully fleshed out fake abandoned mine shaft, but it also was going to function to move supplies back and forth. So you can see I've got like a minecart with a chest, and the whole point of that was all of my villagers were at the end of this mine shaft, so I would use the minecart with the chest to bring wool back here and then trade for emeralds. So that mine shaft leads into this giant iron golem statue that I built. This iron golem basically has all of my OG villagers. It's got holes in it from this one episode where I made a giant creeper and blew it up. But if we come in here, there's literally like cursed old villagers everywhere with impossible trades. Yeah, like this is definitely not a villager you can get nowadays. He sells almost every single kind of wool. There's definitely some weird villagers in here that sell stuff they shouldn't. I don't know like how many there. Yeah, the wool ones are really weird. But yeah, basically this was like my villager breeder slash villager trading hall back in the day. It was never very advanced though, so I don't have that many cursed villagers in here, unfortunately. Yeah, I think these old clerics are impossible to get now too. I could be wrong. Pretty sure these guys like don't have a level or anything. Yeah, so there's definitely some pretty cursed villagers in here. I've got such random stuff in these chests. And then behind the Iron Golem statue, you can really just see like some of the destruction of like a typical village that I would hang out near. Like this village is just completely obliterated. It's pretty funny to see. The only other thing to see at the Garden of Pharos is this little slime cube over here. For a while, this is where I was putting like donos and Patreons and stuff like that. Pretty sure the only way in is the bottom. And yeah, we've just got some old cool people. Oh, I didn't realize there was a netherite block in here. I should probably steal that back. Yeah, but these are just like some of the early supporters back from like the 2020 era. Okay. I think that is everything to see at the Garden of Pharos. So let's fly back to the main part of the world. There's a couple things I want to show you on the way back, though. When I was digging out all of this dirt, as you can see, we've dug a massive amount of dirt in the world. We did find this original village well buried in the dirt, which was pretty cool. This is like an actual, authentic, original village well from one of the villages. But way cooler than that is this right over here. This is the famous log swamp, or mog log, whichever you want to call it. This right here is an actual natural occurrence in my world. I did not place that there. I didn't break the bedrock or anything. There was an old bug in the game that made it so that sometimes branches would accidentally generate at 0, 0, 0. So if we look, this is 0, 0, 0 right there. And so it basically took over bedrock and spawned this log instead. Super, super rare glitch that I have in my world, which is pretty cool. Someone asked why there are holes in the dirt. These are all slime chunks. These are all 16 by 16 chunks. And I've mined them out to get rid of the slimes. So you can see on my map of my world, I've actually done a huge amount of slime chunking all around my base to get rid of all the slimes. All right. Which direction do we go next? Let's see. Back here. All right, so we're back in the main base again, and there's one last direction to go, the water bucket, which is Salacia. Heyo346, thank you for the $2 super chat. I'm glad I can inspire you, dude. Thank you very much for the support. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you guys in the last of the 4 cardinal directions is this right here. This is Salacia. Back in like 2014, I wanted to build an underwater bridge, Back in like 2014, I wanted to build an underwater base, and back in the day, this bridge here used to go all the way across into this little hole. But for right now, we can just fly in to check it out. So what I did to build this was I built this entire base normally, and then I put the water after it was finished. So I want to go back in time a little bit and show you guys a little bit about Salacia and what it looked like when I was still building it. So we're going to go back. Okay, so episode 65 of the Flat World is called Salacia. That was when I first came up with the idea to build this, and I had been watching Jacques Cousteau documentaries of underwater bases in real life, and I got really, really inspired. So I wanted to try to make one. Irisukia, thank you so much for the tier 1. And Zach Sports and Gaming, dude, thank you for another 100x combo. You're insane, bro. I can't believe 101 again? Oh, he's going for the record. He's still going. Dude, thank you so much, Zach. That's super hype, man. I really appreciate it. Holy moly, he's got 125x combo? He's still going, dude. I'm gonna hit the whistle for that. Whoa. Almost dropped my whistle. Thank you very much, Zach. I appreciate it, dude. Super hype. Okay. So,
Ladies and gentlemen,
this was Salacia. This was an old episode. Let's see. Aha! So this is the first time I started building Salacia. You can see I started by just laying down some outlines, and then I built a really, really big bridge to get back to my base. So there was my base, and there's the bridge I built, and that was the outline of Salacia. So I literally just started by going into the middle of nowhere in the water, laying down these outlines, and that's how I began the base. So the next step was to fill in the outlines with stuff. So I began filling in all those outlines with dirt and stuff. I began building up the walls, as you can see here. Dude, holy moly. Zach Sports and Game is still going. He's up to 261. Holy moly, dude. I don't even know how much money that is. That's crazy. Zach, you are insane, brother. He's going for 300, I think. He's going for 300. 290. 295. 300. Let's go, Zach. Dude, you're crazy, Zach. Nice job. Thank you so much. Thank you for the support. All right, dude. So, this is Salacia back in the day when I was first building up the walls. Andesite had just been introduced in the game. Andesite, granite, and diorite were brand new. They had just come out, so I wanted to use andesite for the floor for part of it. So yeah, you can see that I sort of started filling in the project. I want to fast forward a little bit to episode 75. I do a little world tour of my world, and I want to show you guys where Salacia was at. So I had built this giant statue at the time. And it said Amphitrite, I think, which is like the Greek word for Salacia, because Salacia is the Roman word for it. I believe she's Neptune's wife or the daughter. I can't remember. And then, yeah, you can see by this point, I had finished the farms. Back in the day, there was no beetroot yet. So I had done this triple layer farm for wheat, carrots, and potatoes. And that was about all I had by the 75 World Tour. As you can see, there's the wheat, carrot, potato farm. But over the next couple episodes, I kept working on Salacia, and I built like this terrarium room. So you can see me working on that in here, adding trees, adding a bunch of nature. By the end of this episode, I had a pretty decent little naturey area going in Salacia. And then I believe it was episode 84 where I finally finished all the glass I needed for Salacia. So that took a long time to fill in all of the glass walls because it was many, many, many stacks of glass, a couple chests full of glass to fill all those in. And then finally, it was time to actually start placing the water. So that was episode 88. And now we're like post-college. So this is like 2018 era, 2019. And yeah, took me a couple weeks to get all of the water placed. You can see the method here. I had built a giant box, and then I just went layer by layer, filling in the water. until it spread. And it was a pretty insane effort to get all that water into place. And then once that was done, I basically had a giant cube of water. You can see this is how Salacia looked. It was basically an underwater base inside of a giant cube with a bridge going to it. But then a couple years later, I ended up actually building all the terraforming and building all of the ocean floor. And now, if we look at Salacia now, there's actually like, instead of a cube of water, it's like an actual lake with this big glass dam on the front here. So yeah, this is a magical dam. The lore of my world is that, because obviously there's no glass strong enough to hold this much water, right? But this is a magical enchanted dam where the glass is holding the water in place, and then the level of the reservoir is controlled using this stone dam right here on the side. Whew. So real quick, let's just drop down into Salacia. We've got this little bounce pad here, and we'll pop right onto this platform. We've got this little house here, which was kind of like my base while I was building this area. We've got this little house here, which is kind of like my home base while I was building up this area. I've got a bunch of random storage supplies in here. This is where I slept at the time when I was working on this area. And then out here, we've got some houses. We've got this pretty big one with the waterfall behind it. I started a couple houses here that I actually never finished. And then one of the cool details about Salacia is that all of the water you see comes from holes in the ceiling. So this one water hole right here goes down and feeds these fountains on each side. And then all of the farmland in these farms is hydrated by holes in the ceiling up top. So the idea is that basically like all of the water that you see when you're in Salacia is coming from literally the ceiling. There's not much else in here. There's like a little slime block course that I was working on making. Let me see if it still works. Yeah, that works. And then you can go up. Oh. Up to there. Wait. Go up to here. And then up to here. Yeah, something like that. I don't know what I was working on, really. This part over here is pretty unfinished, to be honest. There's not much over here except for like a door to get out. And then here's the farm. I never did add beetroot to the farms here. Just kept it as it was. And then here's what I was calling the terrarium. This little nature-y area over here. Back in the day, this was like the best terraforming I could possibly do. Couple puffer fish and tropical fish hanging out in there. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. That is pretty much it for Salacia. Someday I would like to finish this project up, but it's really old, so I don't know. But yeah, you can almost tell where the bridge used to come out over here. So if we look at... I want to take you guys back to that old map of my world one more time. So you can see back in the day, this was like sort of how my world was. We had the cube of water that was Salacia. We had the mountain with Noah's Ark. We had the mob farm over here. And then we just had this floating spider farm with nothing really around it. And it was around 2020 when I made a really big step in my world and actually decided to connect everything together. So that's when I made these circles up here and connected up this terraforming to the mountain. That's when I did all the terraforming to make Salacia look actually not like a floating cube of water. And then I also made the mob farm in that era to cover up the mob farm, and I made the spider church to cover up the floating spider farm. So yeah, I would say that was one of the biggest transition periods in my world, was when I went from everything just kind of floating on its own to all being tied together in one cohesive area. Oh, I just swallowed wrong. Oof. Okay. So, so when I decided to tie everything in my world together, I made this plan, and I want to show you guys the plan right now. Okay, so if we go back to my series, it was this episode right here. It's episode 92. In episode 92 of the Flat World, that is when I made the giant plan to connect my whole world together. So what I did was I took a screenshot of my maps in the game and I brought it into Adobe Illustrator. And then you can see I started drawing shapes to try to imagine what I wanted the terrain around my base to look like. And then I color coded those shapes based upon how high up I wanted them to be, because I wanted there to be some height variation. So that was my little graphic that I made. This was my little plan for my world that I made. So you can see that the darkest part is the lowest part, and then the lightest part is the tallest part. So I basically, like I said, I took that map that I had, I drew a bunch of shapes around it until I was happy with the shape there. And then what I did was I used a bunch of math to say, okay, if the circle, because like I knew the size of this circle here, so then I used math to figure out what size of each of these circles would be. So once I had all of the circle radiuses done, I was able to go into the game and actually start laying down the dirt circles. So right here, you can see the map of when I started laying down the dirt outlines of where each circle would go. And that took a little while. But by the end of this episode, I had all of the lines drawn out, and then I spent a bunch of time to fill them together with dirt. So you can sort of see where I was at right there, with all of the little circles coming in. And that's where I ended that episode. So that was basically how I made that plan to connect up my whole world together. And so now I want to go ahead and show you guys all the stuff we've built so far. So if we go back into the game and take a look at my updated map. So far, we've finished off this whole harbor area, and then we finished off this circle here, but we still got to do this circle here. I want to build some farms. We've still got to do this little ridge here. We've still got to finish all the gardens around the Spurch. There's this section here. This is going to have an opera house and then some more houses over here. And then there's going to be a hotel down here. So there's a bunch more to do. And then on the very upper level, we filled in 1 out of 4 of these 4 quadrants. So you guys see how there's 4 little areas around the center of my base. We've only done 1 of them, which is the library. So I think there's a few areas to explore with you guys. There's this whole section here, which is the bay, like the harbor. There's this whole section here, which is like the Victorian section. There's the library. And then there's Wandy T's house over there. So I think I want to start with the library. Even though it's kind of out of order, because we built this first, then we built this second, and then we built this third. I actually want to take you over to the library because it'll be easiest to show you guys. So we're going to fly over there right now. So like I said, I plan to have buildings on all 4 of these quadrants, if not multiple buildings. But for now, this is the only quadrant that's actually finished. So this is my library. And if you're ever in my world and you're confused on where to go, I actually have a really helpful book I can show you guys right in the library. If you come over to this specific lectern, it's got a README that shows you how to get to the end dimension and stuff like that. Really helpful. But yeah, so this is the library build. I'm pretty proud of it. On each side of the library, we've got these little sunken courtyards, which are really kind of just for decoration. If we go to the entrance of the library, we've actually got this book return, so I can throw a book in here and it'll go right into the storage. And then we can go into the main entrance of the library, and we've got this really, really nice domed room. To the right here, I should have a librarian here, but I think the librarian witch died, so I need to replace her. But we've also got our little cat tome. And basically, my idea with this library was to fill it with a bunch of knowledge that's actually useful to have in the game. So, like, I've got a whole section here for cooking, and the idea is that every book here is actually cooking themed. So I've got, like, the Omnidex of goodies, saturation, all about nutrition, oh my cod, types of apples and how to grow them, taste of the tropics, a guide to tropical fish, how to safely prepare pufferfish. So the idea is that every single section is filled with actual books pertaining to the section. Right here we have poetry, like Creeper Sonnets, Explosive Emotion. More poetry over here. Up on this second level, if we go up this spiral staircase here. Oh, did I just break a pot? Dude, what the heck? You can break them with... What? The heck? Oh, what just happened, dude? Okay. Let's go back up this staircase real quick. So if I go up this spiral staircase, I've got like a bunch of... Here, wait. So if we go up the spiral staircase... So on the second floor of this dome here, we've got a bunch of like handy stuff, like drama... Or here we go. Okay, here it is. So if you go up the spiral staircase here, we've got a bunch of useful stuff like the crafting section. There we go. And we really got to fill this in because most of these bookshelves are just empty right now. And then on the bottom here, we've got this enchanting station. And we've got two wings. We've got the non-fiction wing and the fiction wing. So this is all like stories here, all just fiction stuff, filling up this entire section. And then if we go up to the second level here, there's actually a restricted section up this ladder. There's a little secret entrance into here, which I really need to put something in here. And then, yeah, over here is the nonfiction section. So we've got like mathematics and stuff like that. We've got yearbooks here. So like all the people who donate on the streams, all of their names get put in here, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that's basically it for the library. One of my favorite builds in my world. Oh, I almost forgot to show you guys the basement. Yeah, let's go down in the basement. So that book drop I showed you guys out front, all those books go into these chests here, which is pretty nice, and then I can sort them. We've also got an automatic anvil replacing machine here if I just press this button. Oh, I guess it's all out, but you get the point. And then down here, we've got every single enchantment. Except for the new ones that were added in 1.21. I got to add those still. But every other enchantment is down here, and we've got a full shulker box of each one. Yeah, so I think that is pretty much the library. Cat petting needs to be added to Minecraft? Dude, it does. That would be so sick. Congrats on the 13 years ago. Thank you, Rowan. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it. All right. So, that was the library. Now I want to take you guys over to the harbor here. So if we come down from the Spurch over here, we can sort of see the first buildings over in this area. I was experimenting with trying to make some corn, so that's what that is. I was trying to make a cornfield. But these buildings right here are my wool farms. I actually made this design myself. Each of these towers has 4 sheep in it, and they're just constantly regrowing their wool and then getting sheared, and so all the wool ends up in these chests here. If we keep going under the bridge to Withering Heights, we've got the blacksmith. If we keep going under this bridge to Withering Heights, we've got the Black Cat blacksmith. So remember how I said I want a building for every single villager? This is where I keep my armor and weaponsmith. And this whole building is themed around this Black Cat Hades here. Got a little litter box in there. But if we go into the basement, we actually have the villagers themselves. This is where I get all my tools and stuff like that. What's that noise? Oh, it's him. And, you know, out back, we got some cool little details, like this sword and this little forge here. And then across the street from the blacksmith, we've got, like, a little meat stand with some little fish and meat for sale. We got this little stand that sells tools. We've got a little candle stand with candles for sale. And then in here, this is Macy's. This is the home for all of my Mason villagers. We've got one of every single terracotta trade, as well as all the glazed terracotta trades upstairs, so I can always get those. Full interior on this as well, and there's full interior on this as well, and there's villagers in the back in case I ever need to cure one of these villagers. We've got full interior on these shops as well, and then we've got zombies in the back in case we ever need to cure one of these villagers. And you can actually go into the attic up here and exit via the roof if you want to just fly away. So then we've got this building here, which is my bee farm. The bees all come out into this little glass area, and they get automatically sheared or bottled into honey or honeycomb. And right behind the bee farm is my mushroom block farm. So we can go up the stairs into this giant mushroom, and this is where I get my mushroom stems. It's a super complex farm by Alex Bombird, I think. And I actually haven't used this thing in forever. I hope it still works, because mushroom stems are really annoying to get. But yeah, there's not much in here other than some access into Withering Heights. And then we can go up this staircase, and I think there's like a little cafe out here. Yeah, if we come out this door, there's just like a little cafe deck area right under the bridge. Got some picnic tables here, little trash can. And then if we come back down into the little town square here, we've got this really funky fishing shack. This is where I keep my fisherman villagers, so we've got a bunch of nautical flags up here. We got a bunch of cod in here. This is supposed to be like a fish skeleton. Got like a big swordfish hanging here. And then, yeah, if we actually go up here, this is where I keep my fisherman villagers. This is Chowder Joe. The last building in this little square is the moss factory. So we've got this little shed off to the side, and there's always like this little minecart running along here just for decoration. This little side door is where I actually turn on the moss farm if I want to run it. And what's really cool is you can actually see the moss going up this water chute and like watch the farm running from the outside. Let's see, what else is there to show, guys? If we go up the stairs, there's an office for the guy who runs the moss factory. Just a quick, cute little interior. But down below, there's a bulkhead to access the basement, and that is where we actually have the storage. So all the moss and all the different byproducts get shuffled into this massive storage system. So all the moss and all the different byproducts get shuffled into these chests here. And then we can go up this water stream and out the trunk of this tree. I really like that the trapdoor closes itself with the pressure plate and it looks like the roots of the tree. I don't know. This is the little things. Behind the beef farm is where you actually access the storage. So there's this really nice little backyard here, and then there's another little bulkhead to lead down to where I keep the honey and the honeycomb. So from here, the harbor kind of wraps around into this area here, but then it also goes into this area here. So we're going to go here first. This is basically like a fishing village. All of these have interiors. So this right here is sort of like a mechanical building. It's got like a little crane sticking out the top, and I'm assuming they just kind of use this building to get stuff off the boats in the harbor. We've got some little stands here, like this one's selling some fruit. Hello? Scared me, dude. What just happened? Ah, I freaking stripped the wood, dude. Let me get... Oh, my oak chest isn't here? Where's my oak chest? Dude, you're kidding me. Oh my god. Where... I gotta go all the way back here, brother. Oh my god. Alright, well, this is a little bit of a break. King Boy Slime, thank you for the 5. Hey, Mog, love your videos. Watched your entire channel when I found it. And I probably watched the Just Dirt series at least 6 times. Dude, thank you. Thank you for the support. I appreciate that. Alright. Let me... Frickin'... Wait, this... Where did I put my oak chest? Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, my lord. I gotta go back in here. All that for one skeleton arrow? I know, dude. Ridiculous. Okay. Okay. Item frame. Melon. Pressure plate. Cool. This stand sells fruit. This one's got some rice bowls going. Like maybe a ramen place or something like that. Right here we have a small little house that's sort of like a just regular old house that someone would live in. And then next door, we've got a little fishing rod workshop where someone creates fishing rods and nets and stuff for the fishermen. Right here, we've got another little house. Kitchen area downstairs, and that leads in the backyard where they've got a little pumpkin patch. Upstairs we got a little piano and a nice little purple themed bedroom. Nice little wardrobe here. Moving on, we got this little mushroom stew stand. I swear to God! And we've got this little stand selling gardening tools. There's also this little flower stand, and there's another house right here. This one also has a little backyard with a campfire. And then if you go upstairs, there's a really nice kitchen in this one. But they kind of just have their bed shoved in a corner, so I don't know. Next door to that house is the little greenhouse area. I like to imagine someone actually lives here and runs this little flower stand out front. So they've got a tiny little house and kitchen here, and then this is their little greenhouse. Tiny little lofted bedroom up here. Across the street is this little restaurant. So we've got some booths to eat out here. This is the kitchen. Out in the back, they take direct shipments of fish from the dock. And then if we go upstairs, this is like where the person would actually live. The family who runs the restaurant. This tower here has a pretty nice bedroom that I like to camp out in sometimes. Oh God, there's mobs. I'm gonna go sleep, guys. I guess the sun's coming up. Toffee, thank you for the prime, dude. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And then the last part of the little fishing village here is just this crane. We've got these docks here, a few ships. Right here on the right, there's like a little storage shed with just some basic supplies and stuff like that. And then this house is meant to be sort of like a butcher. So you come in here and this is where like they smoke all the meats and stuff like that. And then this is their kitchen and where they live. I think they've got like a small little bed here. They run like a little outdoor bar. You can pick up a beer here. There's a little rack of glasses. And then upstairs we have another additional bedroom here. There's two more little houses hiding out back. This one is like literally just a mud hut. Super duper simple. Straw bed and everything. And then behind that, this is actually a pretty nice little house. Got a little kitchen here and a cozy little bedroom. There is a way to get up with those ladders to the top level, but right now there's nothing on this little shelf here. I really need to figure out what to do with this space. But that is basically it for this end of the fishing village, which means we can come back this way. There's sort of the lower and the upper part of the docks, and it's mostly just got some different storage and knickknacks along the sides. Some various stands selling fruit and vegetables and different products. But I don't want to miss these two buildings here. So this one is the flower store. This greenhouse is owned by the owner of this flower shop here. They've got like a little outdoor place where they can do business. But then you can also go inside and buy your gardening supplies or seeds, saplings, tools, flowers. In the back, they've got a little private garden with a bird feeder and everything. And then if we go upstairs, I really like their bedroom, actually. Very witchy vibes in here. You know, this is definitely someone who reads tarot cards. And then next to the flower shop is the Nautical Academy. And then next to the flower shop is the Naval Academy. We got a top secret message here spelled with nautical flags. If you know, you know. Little bird bath here on the way in. So we've got this little like foyer area. There's a janitor's closet in here. And then over here we have like the mess hall. If we go up the stairs, we'll actually have all the dorms where all of the Navy men sleep. And if we keep going up, there's actually even a fire escape here, so you can get out of the building in case there's any trouble. At the very top of this tower, past all of the dorms, is like a little bell room. Probably a good place to study up here. And then if we go back down and to the left, there is a classroom through here. So this is where they would actually get taught. But it also sort of doubles up as storage. You can see there's rowboats in the ceiling and different buoys up there and stuff like that. And then there's even more of a storage closet out here with a bunch of extra boats and supplies and stuff like that. All right, so now we're getting into the more built-up part of the harbor here. This right here is the bank. Oh, what the heck? There's a hole. So we can go to the bank, and right away we're going to see the bank tellers on the left and the right here, where you can like check in on your accounts and stuff like that. If we continue on straight and down the stairs, you're going to see the big vault to the right, but I've never actually built the actual vault. It's just fake for now. There's also a door. There's also a door here that leads to nothing. Might put something here eventually. But if we go up the spiral staircase, there's like the second level of the lobby here with nothing much there other than this balcony. But up another spiral staircase and we reach the office. Sort of the archives for the bank, you know, all the behind the scenes stuff up here. This is Webster. Excuse me, Webster. And then if we go up into the attic, there's actually like even more archival storage for all the different documents of all the different accounts in the bank. Oh God, please Webster, don't. Please. Okay. And there's also a back entrance to the bank as well, so you can get back to this little behind area. Now, a long time ago on Halloween, we built this little gallows, but it feels so out of place, I think I might get rid of this, to be honest. It is kind of cool as like a historical part of the city, but I feel like we need another building to go here. So maybe we'll just move this eventually. And then over here, we've got a few buildings here. There's an inn/tavern, and then these horse stables. It's where I keep all of my good horses right here. Let's start with the inn/tavern here. So we've got like a little beer garden out front. The bottom floor of the inn is dedicated to the tavern. So we've got food here. Little kitchen. Tables and chairs for plenty of people. And here's the bar. And then right here is where you would get your room key and go up to check in. If we go up the stairs, we'll get to the hotel rooms. So there's multiple hotel rooms on each floor. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rooms. Each one has all the amenities you would expect of a hotel room. And they're all unique as well. I tried to make each one pretty different from the next one so that none of them really look the same. So if we go up to the next floor, we've got all the 201. If we go up to the next floor, we've got the 200 rooms. There's 201 here. 202, we got some bunk beds. We've got a little food storage closet here with some extra food reserves. Right here is a little staircase up to the attic, which is just some storage. And then last but not least, we have the Diamond Suite, which is the nicest room in the tavern. Big bed here with storage and a writing desk. And yeah, this is definitely the room you want to be in. Although maybe it could use a window here. I should probably put a window here, right? I feel like a window there would go hard. Can't have a diamond suite without a view. Yeah, we definitely got to put a window there. What do you guys think? Let's do that and that. Bam. Now we just need some glass. What glass did we use for this? Light gray? Or is that regular gray? I think that's regular gray. Or is it light gray? I think it's regular gray. Yeah, that looks right. Bam! Changing our world up on the fly, dude. There we go. Now we have a window in the Diamond Suite. You gotta have a window to write, you know, sit at your desk, look at the witch's hut. Keep an eye on the witch. We're back down on this first floor with all the 5 rooms here, and you can actually go out to this porch. There's this whole big wraparound deck. But that's pretty much it. But that's pretty much it for the inn/tavern. So let's go to these buildings here. This is sort of like a little strip for shopping. So starting with the brick one, which is a bakery. You can come down. They've got this big brick oven here. They've got some treats and pastries for sale. Some loaves of bread for display. And then in the back here, this goes to the actual apartment above, which is where the baker lives. Nice sort of lofted bed with a cool little living room underneath. What? How did I end up here? What on earth? I'm stuck. It's a cool little lofted bed with like a nice little living room underneath. It's weird how you can just like walk up these without jumping. Then we got this fire escape on the side here. We can go out. Next building actually is a potion This next building is actually a potion shop run by the town witch. So she sells custom potions, and she's got some creepy decor. Upstairs, she's got a little bit of a mini workshop and a little place to rest, but this isn't her actual house. Just sort of has like a hammock in here in case she wants to spend a late night at the shop. But the actual witch lives behind the inn. But the actual witch's house is past this. This is her little hut here on the hill. She's got a full house over here. So that's where she actually lives. Then she's got her hut. And then she's got her potion shop in the middle of town. After the potion shop is the tailor. So we've got a little sewing. This building right here is the tailor. So this is where you go for clothes. We've got spools of thread and wool and cloth everywhere. Lots of different clothes to look at and shop. If we go upstairs, they've got a little sewing machine here where they're just working on the clothes. There's a little loom here. And then the tailor actually lives on the top floor of this shop. This is their bedroom. Still got spools of thread everywhere and clothes everywhere because, you know, they're a workaholic. All right, and last but not least is the cafe. This is like your typical coffee shop. We got a little coffee machine back there, little coffee pot. That's an awfully hot coffee pot. We've got, oh my God. No, why do I keep destroying my town? There we go. Got this outdoor seating area here, which is pretty cute. And then you can go up the stairs, and there's some more seating inside. Pretty fancy. I'm not ignoring you, chat. I'm just recording. I'm seeing your messages. I'll read them. If you guys have questions or anything, let me know. He just wanted a coffee, bro. You're right. I shouldn't have been so mean to the zombie. What's Rogueport from, Toffee? Is that from Octopath Traveler? What is it, Rogueport? It sounds so familiar. Show us the Opera House? The Opera House only exists in creative mode for now, because I haven't actually built it yet. What time period is your world in? I like to think of it as very Miyazaki. If you've ever seen Kiki's Delivery Service or Howl's Moving Castle, it's like a mix of like World War I, early 1900s, and fantasy, but with no cars. Only horse-drawn carriages. But we've got trains, we've got telegrams. So it's like a early 1900s, but with some magic and without cars. Oh, Paper Mario. Yes, Toffee Root. Thank you. Yes. Okay. So, really quick, I want to just show you guys the little witch hut here. So, like I said, the witch has this little hut on the hill, and it's just got, you know, little bed, nothing much else, cauldron. But the witch's real house is over here with this grassy roof. She lives right next to the dam. She lives right next to Salacia Dam, and she's got like a really cool overhanging porch here. So she's got a little outdoor workshop and stuff like that. And then inside, we've got this pretty unique room here. her witch's robes. And then we can go up to the second level. She's got another hammock here. Little reading nook to practice spells. So then if we continue up the hill from the witch's hut, eventually we're going to reach the hobbit hole, which for several years didn't really have any use. But recently I've given this place a brand new function. I've always loved the interior in here. We've got like a little kitchen over here. We've got a little seating area, cozy fireplace and bedroom over here. But now we've got this new hallway which leads over to our clay farm. So we can feed dirt into this thing, and then it actually turns into clay. And then it gets blown up, and I can smelt all those clay balls into terracotta. I think the last thing to look at in this harbor would be these boats here. So if we come down here, this one here on the left is the ferry. This ferries people around the harbor, and again, it's got like a full interior. This is just a little staircase room here, but we've got little dining hall where you can buy some snacks. And here is sort of like the engine room, so no people allowed in here. But if we make our way to the top of the ferry, we've got a bunch of seating. Another level of seating up here. And then this is sort of like the little cockpit driver's seat here. So this is what the ferry driver gets to look at. And then right here, we've got a steel... And then right here, we've got a steel... And then right here, we've got a steel sailing ship called the Wanderer, after Wandy T. We just have to fly over onto this ship because there's no gangplank. There's no gangplank, so we just have to fly onto the ship here. But at the front, we've got like a little engine room, map sort of place to chart your course. If we go down and to the left, we'll get to the dorms. So this is where the sailors sleep. Some naval outfits as well. And then if we continue into the back, this is sort of the freight area where all of the storage is. We've even got the bilge down below with a pump to pump out all the bilge water. And we've even got some bilge rats running around. And then I think that's pretty much it. Although this ship is really, really heavily detailed. But yeah, that was basically everything in the harbor except for the harbor itself. So this is actually a really, really unique part of my world. This goes down quite a bit here. We've got this underwater ravine, and as you can see, it's filled with tropical fish and seaweed and coral. But you may be wondering how this is possible because the bedrock layer is literally right here. So what happened is in 1.18 when Mojang lowered the build height in... So what happened was in 1.8... Oh my god, I can't freaking talk. I've been doing this tour for too long, guys. Oh my god. So what happened is in 1.18 when Mojang lowered the build height, they didn't want to touch Superflat worlds because they didn't want to mess up people's creative worlds. And so now if you break bedrock, you can build 64 blocks below bedrock in old Superflat worlds. So that's what I've done here. That entire underwater ravine is below bedrock. I had to break, I think, about 13,000 blocks of bedrock to make this possible. But we've got this sea monster in here, and we've got these giant jumbo fish swimming around. Let's see. Let's go over there. I want to show you guys the... Oop. Let's see. Okay. I want to show you guys the underwater cave with the octopus real quick. There's, we went crazy on the detail with this thing. There's like a sunken ship here with all sorts of coral growing off it. And then past this sea monster, if you fly under him, there's actually this underwater cave here with an octopus inside, which came out super cool. He's actually got 8 little tentacles shooting out in all different directions. So I'm pretty proud of how the octopus cave came out. But yeah, that's basically it. Pretty crazy little underwater section. But I think it actually adds a ton to the world. Like, you can see it through the water, and it really adds a lot. We're almost through this tour, guys. We're getting there. We're getting there. The next thing I'd like to show you guys is this whole section here on the map right here. This is sort of the lumber district. So everything in this section revolves around this purple lumber mill over here. So right here we have a bunch of houses that are based on the Painted Ladies in San Francisco. I wanted to build a bunch of Victorian houses, and right now none of them have interiors at the moment. I still have to do that. But actually, half of them already have interiors in creative mode, so it's just a matter of executing it in survival. But if we go down this street here, we're eventually going to double back. So let's go past all these Victorian houses. So right here, this is where I plan to put a massive opera house eventually. And I've planned it out in creative mode, but I haven't built it yet. But to the left here, we have the drugstore. This needs an interior as well. And then coming down, and then the road doubles back on itself, and there's a bunch of more Victorian houses. Pretty much every single one of these is diagonal, by the way, which was really, really a challenge to build. And then when we get to the bottom of this street, we have a different sort of building here. This is the morgue. So this needs an interior, but eventually this is going to be what they do with the bodies. So yeah, this place needs an interior still, but eventually this is going to be a whole morgue. Because right behind this building is the cemetery. So we can go down this little staircase here, and we've got a little spooky cemetery with a dead tree. All the pets that I've lost in my flat world have gravestones here. We've even got this little jump scare right there. And then some of the people who helped me reach, what's it called? Partner Plus. And then some of the people who helped me reach Partner Plus on Twitch are credited in these coffins here. You need a black market under the bedrock. I actually do have like a little black market area. I'll show you. So yeah, then this opens up a little bit into this big area here where basically it would be all workers from the lumber mill. I like to think that these really big mansions here are like the owners or the higher-ups at the factory here. So they've got these beautiful Victorians with huge yards, and they don't really mind that they're right next to the lumber mill because they own it. We've also got this little green building here, which is sort of the office for the lumber mill. Well, we've got this building here, which is sort of the office for the lumber mill. And then we've also got this little green building, which the mill owns. I'm thinking that's like a storage building. So again, all these need interiors right now. They're all just empty, but we've got this cool lookout tower, and that actually has a little rope bridge going over across to the terraforming on the other side. So this lumber mill actually functions as a working tree farm in the game, but it also is a mud farm and a cobblestone farm all in one. So I can go through this entrance, and right straight ahead is where I plant the trees for the wood farm. Or I can go to this little shed on the side here, and this is where I put in the dirt to be converted to mud. And then if I fly on the top of the lumber mill here, this little tower is where I stand to do the cobblestone generator. So I just flick that little lever, and that'll generate cobblestone automatically for me and blow it all up. Seagull Man, thank you for the 20, dude. Dude, a $20 super chat is crazy. Really appreciate it, Seagull Man. For the morgue build, it could be a good excuse to create a mini mob zoo, but for undeads like zombies, drowned, and skeletons, oh, I really like that. We could have like special ones too, like, you know, pumpkin-headed mobs and stuff like that. Like a chicken jockey with a pumpkin head could be in there or something. In the back of the factory, you can sort of see where the actual stuff gets blown up. But it's all decorated to look like it's full of machinery, and there's like a freight elevator here. And then if I just fly out to this lighthouse here, you can sort of see all the work that's gone into the dock area. All around this lumber mill, I've made a ton of different buildings, and they all need interiors. But I've got a plan for each one. Like, this is supposed to be, I think, a cafeteria down here. There's some clerical offices and stuff. It's all stuff related to shipping and getting boats onto the dock and unloading the lumber. So there's like a lot of cool buildings down here that need interiors as well. And eventually this will all obviously look a lot better when we put the water back in. But someone in the chat was just mentioning a black market, and I've actually already got an area for that under here. Where is it, though? It's like under here. Yeah. There's this little hatch here that takes you down. Can I not actually get up this? What the heck? There's this little trap door here that takes you down to the black market area, and we've got a few little sketchy stalls under here. Cool. What else should we show, guys? And I tried really hard to just make sure that all of these little buildings are all connected up with these really rickety, sketchy walkways and staircases. I think it adds a lot to the feeling of the area. Hello. Dude, 72 Lord Jeffy Games, thank you for the tier 1s. Thank you for the gifties, man. I really appreciate it. That's incredibly generous of you. Alrighty, guys. So like I said, all of this area really needs interiors. There's going to be an opera house that goes here eventually. And then the plan is to tie this road into this little spiral ramp here so that there will probably be a bridge right here with a nice archway. Planning on just putting more houses along here, maybe a hotel down on this lower area. Planning on just putting more houses here, maybe a hotel on the lower area. But honestly, guys, that is pretty much it for my main city area. I like your hairs. Thank you, Fevy. Thank you so much. There's a few other things to see that aren't really finished. Like, there's this little lighthouse here. There's nothing inside of it right now, but I really like the build. And this lighthouse, actually lights up and spins around at night, which is a pretty cool touch. And then if I fly back over here, just beyond Withering Heights here, you can sort of see a little peak. And then if I fly all the way back over to the harbor, just beyond the mountain, you can see this little roof here. That is the tower to the Wandering Trader's mansion. So because the Wandering Trader is such a goat in Superflat and provides us with so many items, I decided to build him his own mansion. And this mansion is filled with all the things a Wandering Trader would need, like stables for his llamas. Plus, the inside has basically all the stuff that he likes to sell. So he's got a fish tank with his tropical fish and coral. Various items that he sells are displayed all around his home. He's got a little journal where he takes notes on little things. He's got his little journal where he takes notes after a long day of selling and traveling. He's got his greenhouse where he grows all the plants that he sells. And if you go up the stairs, he's got this really nice kitchen bedroom setup. Oh my god. Let's go in this tower here, guys. And then, of course, in this top tower here... And then if you go up the staircase into this top tower here, this is like his lookout tower. So he's got a telescope so he's got a telescope and a cartography table to chart his course. And yeah, this is where he sort of plans out all his next adventures, where he's going to go next. Let me out of here. Oh, and I almost forgot. The Emerald Vault. Bro loves emeralds more than anybody I know. He's got to have an Emerald Vault. All right. And right out here near Wandy T's house, you can actually find this sign. This was from his 5th birthday last year. Yep. January 30th, 2024, he turned 5. So he's 6 now. He's 6 years old now. Well, guys, we're running out of things to see in my world. You can see in the distance way over there is my old raid farm, but there's not really anything to see over there. So really, the only direction left to go is north to see this whole project here and the greenhouse. Dude, Gutty, thank you for the raid, homie. What's up, Gutty's Graham Gang? Show everything again? I blinked? Yeah. So, you may have noticed while I'm flying around my world that I've got this really ugly scaffolding here for some future terraforming plans. That scaffolding has actually been there for years at this point. The problem is that my terraforming style has changed quite a bit throughout the years. You can see here that originally a lot of my terraforming was pretty hand-done and very messy and noisy. And then And then over time, my terraforming has changed a lot to be a lot more, I don't know, stylized. So the reason I haven't actually filled in the mountain yet is because I'm sort of just trying to perfect my terraforming style and figure out how to blend these different styles together. But this whole area here is called Salacia Beach. It is the beach along the reservoir that holds Salacia, obviously. And you might notice this little sort of like walkway area. If we go back over to the Hobbit Hole and keep following the stairs up the mountain, we reach this little built up sort of castle ruins, if you will. It is going to be a vid. Yes, yes, yes. And this takes you right over to the greenhouse. We've got these beautiful little gazebos, and yeah, opens up to this wonderful view of our greenhouse. A lot of people ask me what my favorite build in my world is, and it might just be the greenhouse, to be honest. This area feels really, really special to me. So the goal was to try to put every single plant in the game in this greenhouse, even the ones I don't have in Superflat. And I tried to enhance them all too. So for example, like there's regular carrots and this is an enhanced carrot. Regular potato, enhanced potato. Regular beetroot, enhanced beetroot. Here's my attempt at a enhanced pumpkin there. So yeah, you can see we had to get creative and try to like create extra large versions of all the crops in the game. Over on the other side here, we got sugar cane. We've got some turnips and stuff like that. Cabbage. And then we had even done cactus flowers before they were in the game. I guess we'll have to replace these with actual cactus flowers now. But if we go up into the main section of the greenhouse, there's some pretty cool stuff to see. This first room here is all mushroom / fungus themed. So this is like the mushroom goddess right here, and we've got just like all different types of mushrooms. Then if we continue on, we've got this beautiful little pool with an axolotl or two in it. Straight on back from there, we have the bee room. So we've got this really big honey hive. Straight on back from there, we've got this bee room. So we've got this huge hive. And this big vat of honey with a stir stick. Jep's channel, thank you for the 10. Can you make a bat cave? I definitely want to make a bat cave, yes. Voltan, thank you for the 2. And then we've also got copies of all the different trees in here. So we've got like an acacia tree, we've got dark oak and cherry. And then on the other side, we got oak and birch and mangrove. And you can see here are some of my attempts at flowers I can't get, like the torch flower or the pitcher plant. And yeah, there's even these little spiral staircases in each wing of the greenhouse. Those take you up to the second level where I've just got a few extra plants here. Comrade Cat, thank you for becoming a channel member. I appreciate it so much. But yeah, overall, I'd say this is like honestly one of the most relaxing places in my whole world. We really got to trim this vine here. There we go. How long did it take to oxidize the copper? Oh, it took forever, dude. Luckily now I just get my copper from trial chambers and it's pre-oxidized and pre-waxed. It's amazing. Do you prefer playing without music? I thought we'd do a musicless stream today just so I could focus on the world tour and not get distracted by the music. Usually I always have music in my streams, but I thought I'd make a little exception today. That is almost everything, guys. We've covered almost this entire world. But over this hill, I want to show you the brand new project I did in the most recent episode of my Flat World. This area is called Vicenium Bay. Comrade Cat, thank you for the 5 gifties. Oh my gosh. Dude, thank you so much. That is so generous of you. I really appreciate it. Let me try to get rid of that guy. So, we've got this really beautiful fountain here, and it leads the way to the Vicenium Tower. And then we've got this super fancy street full of palm trees leading to the tower. I'm going to go to sleep real quick. I do know Shovel 241. In fact, he helped me a little bit on the terraforming for this area. The bay has a crazy amount of terraforming all along the cliffs. This is all going to be like a seaside cliff area. So the plan is to have the greenhouse perched atop a big cliff, and this is going to wrap all the way around. And then eventually we're going to fill the water back in, which is why I'm doing some really cool swirls that are going to go on the bottom of the seafloor. So this is the Vicenium Bay. It's really, really massive. The ships all come into the bay here and they dock underneath. If I turn off gamma, it's actually quite dark under here, but it's kind of a vibe. There's this really crazy umbrella kind of ceiling forming there's this really crazy arched umbrella sort of ceiling here. So yeah, this is where the boats would pull up and undock and unload all their freight, and then we're gonna build a giant freight elevator into the tower here. If we go this way along the bay, there's actually a road that takes you all the way up. So we've got one of those little binocular viewer things here, plus this little adorable gazebo and some really nice tree work. I absolutely love this reveal of the greenhouse as you come around this corner of the road here. It looks insane. We've got some birds circling above, made out of trapdoors. Got this little willow tree with candles and glass panes. Really just tried to make this area feel like really lush and overgrown. And then once we reach the top, this is sort of the street level. I still have to clean up all these shulker boxes. But the reason this little hole is in the center of the road is because I'm planning on putting like a trolley to go back and forth, like some sort of streetcar. So I wanted to mark down the center of the road so that it'll be easier to figure out where the trolley goes eventually. But so the plan for this tower, the Vicenium Tower, is to have 20 floors, and each floor is going to represent 1 year in our world. So it's basically going to be like a giant museum of our world where each floor has like tons of history and facts and just cool stuff. All about the history of Superflat in our world. If we go up these stairs to the main plaza here, you can see there's actually a left and right tower as well. I call these the east and west towers. So the plan for these is to eventually put like hotel rooms in them. And then right below us in this plaza here is the restaurant. We still need to do the interior for this tower, but this is the lobby area. And then if we go down, this is where there's going to be a giant restaurant. So that freight elevator I mentioned is going to connect up to here. And then there's going to be a big kitchen area in the center. And then all around the edges of this will be tons of plants and tables and chairs and just everything a restaurant would need. So yeah, the whole Vicenium Bay project is obviously a big work in progress. I definitely want to put like some buildings here, or at least like a park or something, because there's some really good opportunity for buildings here. We still need to add staircases to all these towers and interiors and everything, but overall I'm really happy with how it's coming along. And then over at this end of the road, where it's just kind of like trails off into nothing, I want to put like a big factory industrial zone. I've been working on it in creative. Some of you guys may have already seen some of it, but it's looking really cool. Should I give you guys a sneak peek? I'll give you guys a little sneak peek. Just for funsies, just because you're joining me on the world tour. Let's see here. So, this is my creative world where I plan things out, and you can see some of the plans we have for the world, like, you know, little house I'm planning on putting here and stuff like that. Just making little plans here and there. But here is the industrial area I've been planning out. Want to put some factories and giant pipes and just crazy stuff like that all in this area. So I think it's going to be really, really cool when it's done. But just to show you guys sort of what the vision is for this area of the harbor. That's sort of what we're looking at. Dude, Comrade Cat, thank you for the $5, 5 gifties. I think I missed that. And I know where you live. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Hey, do you have any tips for an end base? Yes, we are actually going to go look at my end base shortly. That is one of the last things we have to do in the tour is look at the nether and the end. So we'll be doing that in a little bit. Oh, show the opera house? Yeah, someone wanted to see my plans for the opera house. I don't have much yet, honestly. All I have is like the base for it right now. It's not very far along. Yeah, this is all I have so far. Was just this little base. But eventually this whole area, I've been trying to plan it out. That's where I want to put the opera house. And then you can see I'm trying to figure out how the arched roadway is going to work. Not quite sure how that's going to work yet, but yeah. We're slowly getting there. We're making it work. Alrighty. Back to the world. Okay. Up there is my little silverfish cannon. Launches me halfway across my world, which is pretty fun. But I don't think we really need to look at that. I think that's pretty much it for the Vicenium Bay area. I mean, what you see is basically what you get. The only other thing I would maybe mention is that eventually I'm going to build a tunnel here to connect up to Salacia Beach. So I'm planning on breaking a hole right in this terraforming here. And there will basically be a way to go directly over into the Vicenium Bay through a big tunnel through the mountain. So I'm probably going to have to redo a lot of this terraforming here, which is fine by me because it's a little bit outdated. All right. I think that is basically everything. I think you guys have basically seen everything in my overworld at this point. 13 years of work. The only other thing to point out is that I have been building these giant dirt triangles. So this is part of what I'm calling Operation Mega Hex. The idea is that eventually everything within these dirt triangles will be cleared out down to bedrock. And then once I'm done digging out all the dirt, I'm going to terraform the entire area. So like all the terraforming you see here, eventually I want the same level of quality and same level of terraforming to be all throughout this entire hexagon. So it's probably going to take me 10 years to pull that off, but I am dedicated. I've got a ton of plans. We want to put tropical islands up here, giant waterfalls up here, a giant forest here, a snowy Arctic area, some Chinese cliffs, a desert jungle mesa area here. So I've got a ton of plans. We just need to slowly flesh it out over the next decade. But one important thing I should note to you guys is that if you're ever looking for my dragon egg in my world, it is now at the very top of this tower here. That's where you can find my dragon egg. You see it? There it is. Looking beautiful. And you can see it from anywhere in the world because this is the tallest point in my world now. Even taller than the main temple back at the original base. What happened to the Garden of Pharaohs? It's still out there. We actually went by it earlier in the tour. So you can catch the video, the World Tour video on Mogswamp, my side channel, if you want to see any parts you missed. But yeah, we're going to have to figure out what to do with the Garden of Pharaohs once we work on Mega Hex, because it's right out here. It's within the hexagon. So we're either going to have to blend it in with the rest of the terraforming or destroy it or cover over it. One of those options. So we'll see. We'll see what we do. Okay, I need to sit down real quick. I'm so tired. All right, guys. Well, we've been through the overworld pretty thoroughly. I think I showed you guys just about everything there is to see. There's like some little goofy stuff and Easter eggs here and there around the world, you know? Like this little baby drowned. But overall, I feel like you guys have basically seen everything at this point. So, I think it's time to take you guys to the Nether and the End Dimension. So, before we visit the Nether, I want you guys to pay attention to the shape of my base. Notice how we have this circle here, this circle here. We've got this weird little shape in the back. This circle here. So when I built my Nether hub, I actually built it an exact scale replica of my overworld base. The only difference is that it's 8 times smaller, since one block in the overworld is 8 blocks. Wait, no. The only difference is that I built it 8 times smaller, since one block in the Nether is 8 blocks in the overworld. So, if I stand here and go in free cam, if we go directly above this Nether hub, you can see that it's an exact copy of my overworld. Each of these little circular roofs represents one of the circles in the overworld. So right here, this little thing jutting off the back is the Spider Church. And then we've got these two circles here. Salacia would be this way. This would be the bridge out to the Mob Hotel. And then this would be the bridge over to Withering Heights right there. So literally every part of this castle directly corresponds to how my base is. And in fact, I even kept the Y levels the same. So the Y level of each roof is at the Y level where the grass is in the overworld. So what that means is that wherever I build a portal on this hub, I know exactly where it'll take you in the overworld. So for example, if we find this little circle here and we go inside, there's a little nether portal here. And that nether portal takes you to that exact same circle in the overworld. So if we fly up and look at my base, this is the circle we just went through. Like, check out the map. See that? So does it start to make sense to you guys? This circle was that little roof we just went through. So then this great big circle here, if we go back through the nether, so we just went through the portal in the smaller circle. There's a bigger circle right here. How do I get out of here? If we go through a portal in this bigger circle, it should take us to the corresponding one in the overworld. Yep, and here we are down in the lumber mill. And if we look at the map, that's that circle right there. So yeah, basically my nether hub is an exact scale replica of my overworld base, but turned into a castle. Dude, my voice is gonna break. My voice hurts so bad. Ugh. Okay. Oh, Miko's here. We should put on the Miko cam. Look at him. Hi, buddy. Hold on. I'm going to put on the Miko cam. Aw. He's so sweet. Hi, Miko. Everybody say hi, Miko. I want to pet him because he deserves a little pat. Hi, buddy. Hi, little sweetie. Can I give you a kiss? I kiss my cat because I love him. Okay. Back to business. So that is basically more or less all I've done in the nether is this base. Right here is just a little box for the Wandy Tea farm I have, so all the wandering traders end up in here. But yeah, other than this little castle here, we really haven't done much else in the nether because I actually reset my nether in 1.16. My nether was really old and it didn't have much in it. And I had to go so far for the new biomes that when 1.16 happened, I just decided to completely reset the nether, which is why my spawn is in a basalt biome, which didn't exist when I made my world. So yeah, this is basically all I've done in the nether for the most part. I have like a blaze farm somewhere, but that's about it. So if we fly in this direction, we will get to my end. But if we fly in this direction, we're going to get to my end portal. So right out here, there's a little nether portal on purple blocks. And this brings us to the first stronghold that I ever took apart. I got rid of the stronghold completely except for the actual end portal there. And I built a sand duplication thing. And I built a sand duper around it. Sand is actually the only block I'm allowed to dupe in my world. I don't dupe any other blocks. But when we first got access to sand in Superflat, we had a choice to make. Either we were going to only be able to get a few blocks of it ever, or we could duplicate it. And my audience voted to allow duping it. So it's the only block I duplicate. I don't duplicate TNT or any other gravity blocks at all, just sand. But yeah, let's go see my end base. All right, here we are in the end dimension. It might look pretty unrecognizable compared to a normal end dimension, but you can sort of see the obsidian pillars over there. And you can see all of the end gateways around here. So if I zoom out, you can see that I actually got rid of the entire end island. I blew up the entire end island, got rid of every last block of end stone, and did my own custom terraforming on the island. So there's really not much on the island except for the cyberpunk city. But if we come down here, there's like this nice little pond with a waterfall, which is pretty cool. I got this nice diorite tree here, this little pagoda thing. If we walk up the hill, there's actually a little statue dedicated to Miko. A little bit of like a Miko Sphinx type of thing. I actually built all these cherry trees before we had cherry leaves in the game, so I should probably go back and update them to have some cherry leaves in there. But there's this little pagoda temple thing, and this is actually the exit. So if I go up the spiral staircase, it takes me outside, and then I can go up and around, and that's my exit portal. But behind here is the actual cyberpunk city. And this place is just insane. We got vending machines. We've got like a little condemned arcade. Little ramen shop here. Still got to put something in here. A lot of these buildings still need interiors. But this interior exists. On the right here, we have a Chinese shop. But this interior exists. On the right here, we have a Chinese restaurant. So there's like a little takeout window. We got the kitchen back in here, industrial kitchen. Little staircase going up to their office. And then we've got like the little bar area. And if you go down, there's the buffet. Every good Chinese restaurant needs a big fish tank in it. And then through here, I'm planning on putting like a big indoor mall eventually. Out here, we've got this like cool little monorail thing. But there's like not a ton of, but there's like honestly not a ton of stuff in the city yet. Like I said, I still got to do all the interiors, so most of these are just kind of facades. Like this right here is a hotel with a bunch of, or like this right here is like a hotel, so we got to build a bunch of hotel rooms in there. There's like a hospital in there and a nightclub that we need to build. So yeah, it'll be fun to actually like come through here and actually do all the interiors. Hopefully it brings the city to life a little bit. Ugh. But overall, I'm super happy with my end base. I think it's one of my favorite videos I've ever done was building the end base. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for my end base. And the only other thing I have in the end dimension really is a copper farm, which isn't very interesting. I think it might even be broken. And speaking of broken farms, this thing way out there is like an Ender Malumpkin farm. Basically, it's an Enderman farm where they pick up pumpkins and melons as they run by, and then you kill them and you get the pumpkins and melons. But the problem is I've had Enderman griefing turned off for so long that farm doesn't work anyhow. So, yeah. That's pretty much it for my end dimension. And honestly, that's pretty much it for my world, guys. Oh, God. We looked at an Enderman. Oh, God. Run, guys. Run. Bro, Mog, do you read the chat? Usually, I am, like, crazy about reading the chat. You can ask regulars to the stream that usually I'm pretty crazy when it comes to reading chat. But today, I'm like, trying to stay focused because we're going to be turning this world tour into a video. So I'm trying not to talk to chat as much today. And I'm just trying to stay super focused and make sure we get every last detail into this world tour. But yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much it. Where's your accent from? I just have like the American accent, the general. I don't know. I'm from Massachusetts. But I don't think I have a Massachusetts accent or anything. Maybe a little bit. Antonio, thank you for the 5. How's the 1,000 Days Just Dirt going? It's slow, but it's going. We are playing slowly. But yeah, guys, like I said, that's pretty much it for the tour. We covered everything in the overworld. We covered the nether and the end. And, you know, there's some random stuff out in my world. And, you know, there's some, like, random little stuff out in my world that we missed here and there. But nothing really of note. You guys basically have seen it all at this point. Do you guys have any questions? Make sure to check out the world download. Make sure to check out the world download in the description. It's hosted on Patreon, but it's completely free to download. I'm saying that for when the video is posted, guys. It's not actually up yet. But if you want to go check out the Patreon in the meantime, please do. As soon as I get this world tour edited, I will get the free Patreon download out. And then, yeah, we're going to get this up on Mogswamp. I'll ping everybody so everybody knows. I'll make a community post about it. Don't worry. You will know when the world download is ready. I just got to do a little cleanup on it because right now it's too big. So we have to cull some chunks. I can't just like release it in its current state because it's too big now. I had to do a bunch of exploring. I had to go to a bunch of strongholds to find that stupid other side disc. And ever since then, my world is like a little too big to just send out. So I have to like cull the chunks first. But after we get rid of like some of the useless chunks with nothing in them, then we'll send it out to you guys. But yeah, guys, I think we're just about good on this. Do you guys, like I said, do you guys have any questions? What was the hardest build to do? Definitely the newest one. That was like, the Cyberpunk build was pretty hard too, but I think this was harder. In terms of, like, designing it. This was a beast to build, bro. I honestly can't believe I actually even built this. It doesn't even feel real. I don't think you guys realize, I built all of this. It took me, like, 12 years. I built all of this in, like, under a year. It's like, I, like, doubled the size of my world in one episode. It's crazy. It's crazy. This area is so huge, dude. I can't believe we built it all. But yeah, anyways, guys, I think that's basically going to be it for the world tour. I'll probably do like an intro and outro for the actual world tour. So I'm going to stop recording now. Oh man, that was crazy. I'm going to switch it back to my regular stream setup so you guys can see me and Miko. Oh, that was a crazy world tour, dude. That was a slog, man. I forgot how hard it is to talk for 4 hours straight. My voice hurts, dude. Yapper? I am a yapper. Hopefully I covered everything though. I feel like there's still so much history in my world that I probably missed. All these little villages and stuff like that. But the thing is, if you want the full story, you're just going to have to go watch all the old episodes because there's 13 years of things that have happened. So summing it all up in one single world tour is pretty challenging. I'm not going to lie. Where's Mountain Pig? I think Mountain Pig got stuck in a little fence. Let me check. I'm pretty sure Mountain Pig got stuck in this little... Oh, that is the one building I never covered. I never talked about this windmill. But I mean, that's fine. It's just a windmill. But yeah, there's like this whole farm area up here. And I think Mountain Pig has been stuck in here for a minute. Are you Mountain Pig? Yep, that's him. Yeah, he's been stuck in there for a while. I don't know what happened to Salacia Cow, though. I think there were two for a while. I don't know if we ever name tagged Salacia Cow. Are they still there? Oh, there's Salacia Cow. Okay, yeah. Salacia Cow is still doing good. I don't know if we ever name tagged this one, though. Oh my god, I almost just pushed it off. Oh god, stop. No, we never name tagged this one. This one just chills here. Yeah, for a while there was two cows here. But I don't know where the second one went. Probably fell off and died, I'm guessing. But yeah. Anyways, guys. Well, SOS Get a Season 2, or is it done? I think it's probably done. I don't think any of the others had like a ton of interest in a Season 2, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Oh, man. I just want to do so much building, guys. I've got some really, really fun upcoming projects. Hey, Mogswamp, I missed the entire stream. Can you speedrun the entire tour? Don't worry, Strong One. Thank you for the 5. The video will be out soon on the World Tour, and my editor is going to do a great job with it and put it on the side channel, so you won't miss a thing. Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. But man, yeah, I'm planning one of the next projects I'm going to do is the axolotl. So I want to build like a little temple where we try to breed axolotls for the blue one. Because in Superflat, it's even harder to get the blue axolotl by like a lot. So I think, see this little ravine here? Right in this area here, right in this little ravine, we're gonna build a big project here. And that's gonna be pretty much the next project we do. So that'll be really fun. It might not be the next episode because I kind of want to do an episode where we get all the new items, like the what's it called? Like the dry grass, the happy gas, the you know, cactus flowers, all that stuff. So I kind of want to do an episode of that, but then after that, I think we're going to build the axolotl here, and that's going to be super fun. Super fun! Have you designed it yet? I have been designing the axolotl. Yes, I have. I am pretty far on it, actually. I don't want to spoil much, but I'll give you guys, like, the tiniest little peek. I'll give you guys the tiniest little peek. Yeah. That's a little bit of what I have in the corner there. You can sort of see it, but I don't want to show you guys too much. I don't want to show you too much because it's going to be a surprise. But yeah, there's a bunch of terraforming we got to do over here. And that's going to tie into the greenhouse, and we got to figure out what's going on with this area. Yeah, there's so much to do, man. There's so much to do. There's always so much to do in our world. I'm so excited. So excited, dude. There's always more to do. How often do you stream? Dude, my streaming schedule has been really bad lately because I'm moving. I'm moving across the country this June. Like in like less than a week I'm moving. So hopefully in July I'll have an actual stream schedule and I'll be able to stream more. But lately I haven't been able to stream much. I'm going to be real, like once or twice a month. So I'm going to try As soon as I'm done moving, I'm going to try to get back to streaming again. It's just been crazy with everything going on. We had to find a new house, and that took a while. And now we finally signed the lease, but now it's actually time to move, so we're packing our entire house up. So honestly, this might be one of the last ever streams from this setup. Next time you see me, everything behind me, guys, all this stuff is probably going to be gone. All this stuff behind me has got to get packed up, like, within the next couple days. So we should actually all 07s in the chat for the setup, for the beautiful streaming setup. Hopefully in the new house we have an even cooler streaming setup. But yeah, for now I think this is it. I think this is the end of this era of the Mogswamp broadcast. We're going to be entering a new era. You guys, some of the OGs might remember my first apartment, because my channel first popped off in my old apartment, and that was like a tiny apartment. You guys probably maybe remember that setup. I had like a bunch of plants behind me. But then we moved here, and this was my setup for a while. But yeah, new setup's coming. Pretty crazy. There were so many plants in the apartment. There was so many plants in that apartment. You should have seen my first ever apartment in college. It had like 3 times the plants. I'm a sucker for plants. But then I got this stupid little devil, here, Miko, and he freaking ate all my plants, and now like I can't even have plants anymore. Every time I get plants, he eats them. So I have to like keep them really high on shelves and stuff. Otherwise, I'd probably have a bunch of plants behind me right now, because I love plants. But he freaking destroys any plant he sees. He's like, he's racist towards plants. I don't know what his problem is, dude. He hates plants. Anyways. Yeah, guys. I think that's it for me. I've been talking for way too long. My voice is shot. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the world tour. I had a lot of fun with you guys. There's so many plans. There's so much to do left in the world. We've got millions of dirt to dig. There's so much to do. So, like I said, hopefully I'll be streaming a lot more in July, and we can hang out more with each other. But just got to get through this move, man. Wish me luck, guys. Wish me luck. Moving across the country is so stressful, dude. Especially like last time I moved across the country, I wasn't a YouTuber, so I could just take time off of work. It was no big deal. Now it's like, I don't know, dude. Every day I'm packing, I'm like, I got to be making videos. It's so stressful, man. But we'll get through it. We'll get through it. Anyways, I love you guys. Thank you for joining me on this awesome world tour. I had a blast. Hope it will be easy. Thank you, dude. Thank you, Awalji. I appreciate it. Don't stress. Thank you, Gab. New England era 2 will be peak, trust. Not going back to New England, though. Going to the Pacific Northwest. We're probably going to end up in New England someday. It's calling me. It's calling my name. I feel it calling back to me. But for now, we're going to Seattle. We're going to see how Seattle treats us. You know what's going to be really cool, guys? I'm going to be right next to the Mojang office. I'm going to be literally like right near Mojang, where the Mojang office is. Hopefully I can go in and get a little tour, maybe stream it, bring you guys with me. Could be cool. If not, at least a short or something. But yeah, I was going to do my world tour yesterday, guys, because it was the 13th anniversary of my YouTube channel. But I got invited to go on the news. So you guys know how I built this tower? And in my most recent Flat World episode, I talk all about the history of the tower. Well, the San Antonio News reached out to me for an interview. I drove down to San Antonio for the interview. And yeah, now I'm going to be on the news. I'm going to be on the local news talking about the tower I built. So that's pretty crazy. I never thought that I would get on the news for a Minecraft build. That's pretty wacky and wild. So we're going to make a short out of that, and that's going to be a banger short. Hopefully in the next couple days when the news article comes out, because I think I'm going to be on TV tomorrow morning. But I don't have cable, so I think I just have to have someone record it for me or something, because I don't know how to watch it. I don't have cable. But anyways, pretty cool that I'm going to be on TV. Anyways, I'm yapping away. I'm yapping away. I'm going to go now and pack my house. I'm going to pack all my house up. So all this behind you is about to go away. But thank you guys for joining the World Tour. I had a lot of fun today. We're going to raid someone on Twitch. So if you're watching on Twitch, don't go anywhere yet because we want to raid someone. But let's say goodbye to YouTube. Bye, YouTube. We love you. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for all the support on my YouTube channel. It's the best job in the world, man. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful every day that I get to be a YouTuber. So thank you guys. Couldn't do it without you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next stream. Peace. All right. That's YouTube gone. Okay. Who do we want to raid, guys? What's the vibe? Are we raiding a friend or are we raiding a rando? What's the vibe today? Friend or rando? What do you guys want? Friendo or rando? I'm obligated to ask if you checked out Deltarune. Is the full game out yet? I refuse to play it until the entire game is out. I hate episodic things. Rando friend? That's the same thing. Small rando, friendo. Okay, most people are saying friend. So I think I'm going to rate a friend. Let me just save this stream data real quick. Stream data, what day is it? 06/08/2025. Okay. All right, guys. I will rate a friend. I think you guys want me to rate a friend, so we're going to rate a friend this time. So I'm going to kick it to my outro video. Stick around for a few seconds, and then you'll get shot over to the next person. And make sure to tell them lots of love. Make sure to give them lots of love. Make sure to say Mog sent you. Make sure to spam Mograde. I'll be there with you in the chat. Yeah, let's do that. All right, guys. See you next time. Bye, chat.